Oh.
Yeah, it just puts in something random.
Dragon turtle.
I'm mummy.
That's sick.
I didn't pick
Which
it.
means there's someone
Just
else in
rude.
here.
Yes.
Creepy.
Yeah,
Dragon
who else
turtle.
is in here?
It's the haunted ghost of the castle, dude. It's the fucking
Oh,
jester.
the jester.
It's
The jester.
Do
Lol.
we think the
See, I
jester
know
is the
there's-
mummy
I
or
know.
the dragon turtle?
You know there's a jester.
I'm the mummy. The jester's the dragon turtle, because it says
Oh.
mummy and then it says you on mine, so.
Gotcha.
Where's the jester, D?
Well, you might find out.
How do you make me look like a fool?
All right, we're gonna hit this recap, and I'm gonna try and remember, even though I just watched it back. So, Nihlio returns from his evening activities to your guys' shared quarters and updates Einar about his bizarre conversation with the graveyard crew, but fails to mention that he was apprehended by an older guard who threw him in a cell, which he promptly escaped. Oh, and he may have also taken a Queen's Guard uniform as a disguise, but Einar, not knowing any of that, asks him to find the king, while Einar himself goes back to investigate the chapel room. After some frantic investigation, Einar finds the Queen's robes carelessly thrown onto a pew. Alaric interrupts his search, and the two agree that there is trouble afoot, and that they want to leave as soon as possible. You are of the same mind that the sooner you leave, the better, and believe that you may have to do whatever it takes to get out of there. Alaric goes back to his room, packs his things, and takes inventory of all his spell scrolls. Meanwhile, Nihlio goes back up to the stairs and begins sleuthing around trying to find the king. After 2 floors, you find a guard who you are able to deceive into letting you past. You unsuccessfully try and intimidate the very large guard who watches over the Queen's quarters. Nonetheless, you go back downstairs, successfully taking a grappling hook and sneaking your way up to the tower after popping out a window. Up on the tower, you find the king and queen are talking over a fire after you sneakily pop open another window. Eventually, you end up rapping on the door and confronting the king, saying that his brother, who by proxy is in charge while he's away, sent him to go looking for him since it is quite late at night. The king is slightly irritated, but does note that it is late in the evening, and says that he will be back down in a little bit. You make your way back down to rejoin the group, and eventually the king does join you in about 30-ish minutes. After you guys end up waking Alaric and Toke up and sort of try and discern where he has been, what he has been talking about. Alaric also lets the king know that everyone else who attempted to hold the dragon egg burst into flames immediately, which the king does admit that the queen told him after. The king believes that the egg has chosen him as his partner and master, and that he has already made the decision that he and the queen will be wed. This distresses Einar deeply and alerts Alaric's suspicions. So you guys end up sleeping on it a little, and just as you're laying your heads down for a glorious long rest, an alarm sounds. Einar pops his head out and gets the attention of a maid who says that that is the alarm for an escaped prisoner and that they should hide. Einar turns on Nihlio, which Nihlio admits that he does actually know something about this escaped criminal. They sort of argue a little bit back and forth about what they should do about the situation. Nihlio ends up leaving the room and going back to the scene of the crime, pretending that he knows nothing about this escaped criminal, or that he's just woken up himself and is here on behalf of the king. He barely he is able to intimidate the guard who is watching the cells, but does raise his suspicions. And while you're in the cells, a very foolish young guard approaches you, admits that he doesn't quite have the best description of the man who escaped, but he escorts Nihlio back to his quarters, which Nihlio believes lets him off the hook.
Jump.
After you guys do end up getting a long rest, and you wake up late at 12:30, and you guys end up going with the king to sort of a lunch situation. You guys see a lot of guards this time, as well as the queen. The queen already knows that there's been an escaped prisoner, and they also state that the escaped prisoner has a goatee and long black hair with all black. I do believe Nihlio cut his hair and shaved his face, so now he has short, dark hair, clean-shaven face, and I do believe that you also changed your clothes.
Mustache. I have a mustache.
Oh, you have a wild mustache. Okay, great, fantastic.
A mustache. Yes.
It did take like 3 people to cut it.
It did.
Yes.
And oh gosh, let me look at my notes to see what happened after that, or if we left off there.
I believe we had breakfast because I remember asking what's his name if it was okay for me, Laszlo, if it was okay for me to venture out and explore in the wilderness.
Yes, I do. Yeah, you guys have that meal.
And I began the long process of cozying up to the queen, and
yes, you endear yourself to the queen, you tell a cute joke, you congratulate her on the wedding. Toke does not recognize Nihlio, or if he does, he's playing coy about it.
I don't know who the hell that is.
That was so good last time. Who are you?
Yeah, that was great. Let's see what else. Oh, Laszlo also mentions that some townsfolk have gone missing, and the story is corroborated by the foolish young guard who says that, like, his sister's daughter, so his niece, like, a schoolmate didn't come home or something like that. I do believe you guys sense Mo's on that, and while Laszlo is not lying, it's uncertain if he believes what he's saying. And you do also ask a little bit more about the ghost, to which Laszlo does say that there was a jester at some point, but that it's just a rumor that there's a ghost.
A rumor based in reality, so I'll get to the bottom of this. I will get to the bottom of this ghost.
Yeah, wasn't it said that the jester died at the same time of the king or something like that?
It was pretty close together. Yeah.
They secretly had like a notebook thing going on. They just couldn't live because I think the king died. The king died like just before, so one can only assume that the jester was so heartbroken for the bond that they shared that he passed shortly after.
Yeah, well, he died.
Yes. Okay. So we're still at lunch. So Nihlio, you look different. I believe we established that. I kind of went through and looked at who saw you undisguised and disguised. So only a few people saw you undisguised. However, you did raise suspicions for certain people. So depending on what rooms you go into and how you interact with people, we will determine what you roll to deter any detection. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? And Einar, you are still chatting with Laszlo. And Alaric, you are sucking up to the queen.
Fuck that queen.
And Orlaith is here.
Hey, what now?
It was Orlaith.
Orlaith is
lady.
Toke's
Oh yeah.
newest lady love.
The arm wrestler. Loser.
Yes. Okay, so this was something I was thinking about. So Toke is pretty old. Has Toke ever taken a wife? Certainly not a dwarvish wife, but possibly.
No, he likes taller women. He's
Not
into
in the dwarvish
so it's got-
girls.
He's like a dwarven hag.
A bachelor, dwarven
Yeah.
bachelor.
Dwarven stag, more like.
Yeah.
I'm picky.
I'm playing.
So
Nihlio.
no.
No.
You and King
But-
Asbjorn are on the same level of just, you know, the ladies love you, but you are not as taken with them. So
Yeah.
this is it's rare that you find a woman of such a martial prowess who meets your height requirements
And strength.
and strength.
And have no lame ass wife.
I'm
Can't even
gonna
do
let
yourself
Toke
we get in trouble.
go first, since I felt very bad that you were conked out for the majority of the session last time.
Oh, I am fine. The story has been very interesting. So I
Would you
am
like
okay
to
with-
suck up or talk to anyone during lunch?
Where is everyone sit? I'm gonna go sit next to Orlaith.
Yeah, so Orlaith is at the queen's table. She is not directly next to her. It's very clear that Orlaith doesn't have the queen's ear as much as she has the queen's back, and she's always in a position where she can see everyone in the room. Go ahead and make a perception check, Sir Toke.
Alright, perception. Ooh, dirty 20.
Nice. Nice. So you guys, well, you see Orlaith. She is just as beautiful as you remember. Possibly even more beautiful in the mid-afternoon light.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. There's only one of her now, but that's how I thought there's two of her.
Yeah. Her armor is battle worn and scarred. She obviously wears it like this as a sort of like pride, showing that she has been in many battles. Whereas some other knights have like much shinier, nicer armor, hers is obviously extremely well crafted and is very well taken care of, even though it shows like some wear and tear. She gives a little half smile as you approach.
I'll give a little smirk back. Smirk for smirk.
Smirk for smirk. Dwarf, you have slept very late.
Yes. A man much as myself needs his beauty rest.
Yes. nothing to do with the amount of mead you drank, I'm sure.
No, nothing at all. No,
Yes.
can handle my liquor pretty well.
Have you heard about this escaped
Ghost?
criminal?
I've heard all about it.
Oh, yes. The ghost. Listen. You may not remember, but last night I said someone plays a very cruel joke on you. That I do not believe that there is a ghost.
So you just don't believe in ghosts? Or you don't think there actually is a ghost?
I believe in many things. Many things that perhaps one cannot see, but I do not hear or see such ghosts around late at night.
Okay. I'll get to the bottom of this. There is a ghost. I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
You don't want to give me any secrets.
Mm,
I'll find him.
Yes. What is have you heard about this escaped criminal?
A little bit.
Wears all
Fill me in.
black, goatee, long black hair. Her eyes dart over to Nihlio, and she goes, I feel as if I have seen a man as this, but your companion, did he always have such a mustache?
Yeah, that's the only hair he can grow. It's right there. He physically cannot grow any other type of facial hair.
Okay, go ahead, make me a deception check.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm reading something because I have Charming Liar.
Oh, you're finally lying about something!
Do you, off the top of your head, do you guys know how this works?
No, you've looked at it like 8 times. I think we're still deciding. What does it say?
The hefty one. Your charm allows you to win over those you lied to. When you get a critical success using the lie action, the target's attitude toward you improves by 1 step, as though you succeeded as using diplomacy to make an impression. This works only once per conversation, and if you critically succeed against multiple targets using the same result, you choose 1 creature's attitude to improve. You must be lying to impart seemingly important information, inflate your status, or ingratiate yourself. Sorry.
Ingratiate, yeah.
Ingratiate.
Okay.
Which trivial or relevant lies can cheat.
Okay. I would say since you're trying to romance her, this kind of falls under that. So go ahead and roll, and let me know if you get a 20.
I got a 23.
Remember.
Okay. So she looks over. She goes, yes, it must be a different man I am thinking of. It is a very ugly mustache, is it not? It's a little crooked.
Yeah, we make fun of him all the time, but he's real insecure about something to do with.
Yes.
Only real men can grow facial hair.
Yes.
I mean, look at this beard.
It is a very beautiful beard, I must say.
Yes, real men. So I'm like stroking it.
What are your plans for the day?
don't know.
Okay.
Well, I'm kind of talking to just you guys too, because I want to adventure.
All right, let
And
us
if I
cut
have some
to...
time, I want to find the ghost.
You're
I can
like,
open up
I
another
want to do
window here.
this, and I want to do this. All right, we're gonna cut back to Alaric and Einar, since you guys are sort of, again, still at the same table. Nihlio, I would imagine that you are maybe not being as social as you normally would, probably trying to avoid detection, and maybe just sort of like hanging around. You're doing your rogue thing, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can just kind of be in the background. Alaric and Einar. What would you guys like to do, if anything?
Please.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Laszlo mentioned the location of a collapsed lighthouse or watchtower
Oh,
or
he
something.
sure did. Yes, Laszlo did mention that a watchtower had recently been struck by lightning. And he basically told you to not go over there because it's about to fall into the ocean, and it's very dangerous.
Oh, that is good to know. Thank you for the warning. Where is this watchtower so I can know to avoid it?
Yes. Well, let me see here. He sort of goes over to like a cabinet that they have in the room and sort of like rummages around, and he pulls out a full-blown fucking map of the area. The map is fairly detailed. It has like the town and as well as the forest, and then it has the watchtower sort of on the west coast. And he goes, yes. Well, you see here, it is through these sort of northern forests, and as I'm sure you've heard, a few of the townsfolk have reported that, well, a few of them have gone missing, and of course the Queen is looking into it, but, we just blanket statement, dangerous things in the woods, but you know that. Anyway, so here it is. Very condemned. Do not go over there. He puts like a big like X through with like an ink and quill, and he goes, but this is a wonderful depiction of the castle, if I do say so myself. One of my finer ones, if I do say.
Oh, that is yes, good for you. Can I have this?
Oh, well, he, sort of thinks about it, and he goes, well, I see no harm. I do have several others. You notice that there was like 10 other scrolls in the back. He goes, he sort of starts rolling it up. I do hope that you will return this to me, but it is a souvenir of the beautiful Hibernia, which I'm so very fond of. Here you are.
Of course, I will return it once I am returned from my sightseeing.
Yes, it is a beautiful island. Wonderful beaches, but stay very far away from the watchtower. Very, very dangerous.
Yes.
And the woods, also dangerous.
Do you have... Actually, we didn't bring riding horses, did we?
Oh, well, if you are in need of any sort of horses or transportation, I'm more than happy to open the royal stables to you.
Ah, that is very kind of you. I would appreciate that, actually.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. He sort of like snaps over a young lad who is like kind of dirty, but you would imagine that this is like the stable boy. Hello, sir. Yes, I can take you to the horses.
Wonderful. Perhaps just one moment. I need to talk with some of my countrymen first.
Of course, sir. Of course. He scuttles back into the corners.
I will take note of where he is, and then I will look around and see if my companions are otherwise occupied.
Alaric, what you doing?
I mean, I was what I need to do is kind of a long-term project, right?
Total 30 and Total 31st Stigmatism are the only monthly replacement contact lenses with nearly 100% water at the surface, so nothing touches the eye but a gentle cushion of moisture.
I assume probably the best diplomat in our whole contingent here and back home, right? I imagine that me being close to the king and all, I think we talked about this recently, that I have a position of some degree of kind of what's the word for relating to? There's a word for relating to like actual, like that I have a role that is probably has like a very specific position in the
Hierarchy.
Are we using the word tribe? We're not using the word tribe, right?
Clan.
That I have a role as kind of a diplomat and as kind of like a negotiator of some extent, right? So I'm trying to like leverage that role to I'm basically right now, I guess day one, I'm just trying to establish that role with the queen as kind of being like, oh, well, of course the king gets the final say on any and all decisions, but I do need to do all the paperwork, essentially. Not that there's actual paperwork, but I need to do all the formality stuff. That's not the king's job, that's my job. I'm the negotiator, I'm the diplomat. And so I'm just trying to like wedge myself into that so that I know literally as much as I can possibly know about the exact details of this union, of this both, you know, marriage union and alliance, because it's an alliance, right?
Yes.
So I'm trying to make sure that like none of this is done behind closed doors, that all of the details at the very least are passed on to me, even if they're decided on without my involvement. I just want to make sure that I'm in the know about everything so I can inform everybody. And I feel like I mention it literally every single session at some point in time, but I also have discreet inquiry, which means that if I at any point during this, if we start to get a line on important information, that I can obfuscate the details of what I specifically want more information about, so that people don't know I'm prying.
Right.
It's not a guaranteed thing. It is a contested role, but yeah, in theory, I should be able to do that. I think that's the really the only thing that I have that relates to this job. But yeah, I'm just trying to like establish myself as like the diplomat and kind of make it a bygone conclusion that all information needs to eventually pass through me. So that no surprises are sprung on us. And it makes sense because, of course, if she's, you know, whatever's happening with this alliance, like, it is important that we have kind of formal agreements and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that there's much I'm doing right now. I'm probably open to speaking with Einar and other people involved in, you know, looking at stuff to do. But it's like, I know it's a long-term thing, and I imagine it's something I would do, because you were asking about downtime in the next couple of weeks, what we'd be trying to accomplish.
Yes.
I know that's something I want to do over the next couple of weeks, is like almost every day I'm checking it. I'm basically getting the, like, what do they call it? The president gets a morning brief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like trying to be like, oh, I'm supposed to get a brief every morning. That's how this is done, and just kind of make that like an established thing that they have to adhere to. And, you know, I feel like I could probably get the king. Actually, I guess that might be something I'd want to do right now, is kind of get an opportunity to get the king on my side with respect to that. Get the king to agree that I need to be read in, and that's supposed to be that's just normal and that's acceptable, and that it's something they're going to have to live with even if they don't like it.
Oh, okay, of course. So over the course of this meal, you know, of Toke talking to Orlaith and Einar talking to Laszlo, quickly before I kind of say about the king and queen, Nihlio, did you have anything in particular that you wanted to do in this moment?
I'm trying to be sneaky and not be seen.
Yes, you are a wanted man, and you are just praying that no one recognizes you.
Someone did recognize you, but you're welcome. Okay?
I scoff at your mustache remark. I look distinguished.
You twirl your mustache.
Exactly.
I take an action to twirl my mustache.
Can I just leave the room? Like, just full on leave the room and then just wait for my next action outside?
Absolutely.
Do I need to sneak or can I just walk?
No, you can just go.
Okay,
there's
cool.
enough people where, like, people aren't watching your every move or whatever.
Perfect, yep.
So, the king, you guys had discussed, you had tried to get the king to agree to, like, go back home, get some diplomats, like, carve this out in stone, and the king sort of poo-pooed that idea and was like, nonsense. All I need is my boy Alaric. And he definitely has you seated right next to him at lunch. And at some point, after Einar and Laszlo are done talking, they sort of include you guys in the conversation. And the queen starts making it fairly clear that, like, Laszlo is her paperwork guy. And she goes, well, yes, I imagine that you and Laszlo will be working very closely on all the details of this alliance and how many ships will be provided and when I will return with you and how long all of this will take. I'm assuming the better part of a month, but I really do think that we should have this done with a quickness, my king. What do you think? Yes, as soon as possible, my love.
I will just kind of nod respectfully and reach out to do one of those kind of Viking handshakes with Laszlo specifically.
Laszlo, like, sort of is like, oh, yes, this must be one of those Viking things. I'm very excited to get started on wedding planning. It's been a long time. Oh, I remember when the king got married.
The king will probably be involved in that a good deal. I'm mostly here for the political and military arrangements, yes.
Yes, well, we will have a meeting at once, maybe later this evening or in the next couple of days to sort of hammer out the details. As I say, there's many people here at this time. More private matters are to be discussed behind closed doors.
Yes, absolutely. And of course the king and queen must be involved to some extent, at least
yes. He starts absolutely yapping your ear off about what kind of flowers you think they should start having. And he goes, I just think that there's an absolutely exquisite spot right overlooking the sea on a beautiful cliff. We can invite the whole village. Oh, it will be magnificent.
Well, where the king is from, we don't have much in the way of flowers, and where I'm from, even less. So that would probably leave on other more. I look over at Einar and I just
perhaps roll out my map. If you could show me on the map, perhaps I could guide Alaric to see the spots to make sure that is of reputable quality.
Oh, yes, what an excellent idea.
I make a hand gesture at Einar saying good idea, but I he doesn't.
Yeah, it's just
speak sign
gestures.
language.
Yeah.
You're like, cool. He begins, Laszlo makes a couple X's on the map for, he's like, yes, and there's very interesting, there's beautiful crystals that may be harvested up here, and over here, what a wonderful flower field. And he sort of circles another spot, and he goes, oh, and yes, we will have to have several raiding parties to collect, the many meats that we will need in the upcoming months. Orlaith, darling. He sort of waves Orlaith over, and Orlaith, only Toke sees this, but Orlaith gets a very small eye roll, and she goes, one moment, and goes over, and absolutely towers over Laszlo, and she goes, yes, Laszlo, what do you, for the wedding, yes, meat, boar, I see, bear, oh, yes, okay, well, this is a large order, I will need a large party to, acquire all of this. She looks over to Toke and she goes, my friend, Sir Toke, would you like to join me on a little... Okay, yes, that was barely a question. Okay, well, Sir Einar, I do believe you're going to be led to the stables, is that correct?
You have good ears.
She gives you a sly smile. Well, she sort of looks at Alaric, and she goes, well, I do admit I have not met many elves, but, how do you feel about horses, elf?
Oh, well, we had, some horses up north, I mean, I'm sure there are elves all over the place that have horses. We had, very warm, we had very cold weather horses with a lot of insulation.
I see. Okay, well, but you know how to ride a horse.
Let me look at my character sheet real quick. Hold on. Is this I'm sure I'd be fine in it. There isn't animal handling anymore.
No. This is literally just like, you definitely would have gone hunting with King Asbjorn. She's just like getting your goose a little. Yeah.
I'm not exceptionally skilled with horses, no, but yes, I could ride a horse.
Okay, wonderful. Well, anyone in your party who wishes to come and try their hand may accompany me.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. I meet you at the stables. Toke? Einar?
I have other business that I was hoping to attend to. So sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Didn't I already agree to go?
Yes. She makes her way out the hall.
Come in, my dear.
You and Toke follows her. Einar. Oh, sorry. Let's cut back to Nihlio. Nihlio.
Yeah, what's up?
What would you like to do? And we don't have to. So I kind of mentioned last time after we stopped streaming that we were going to transition into. You guys can decide if you would like to do a longer, encompassing time period. So as Noah was saying, like, he wants to do many things over like a couple of weeks. So anything you guys want to do that can take some more time, just give me a heads up and we'll try and like flash back or flash forward as necessary.
Cool, yeah, I have a couple of things that I want to accomplish over the next coming weeks. And I can like tell you what they are and make whatever rolls necessary for them.
Okay, so Nihlio has stuff he wants to do over a couple weeks. Alaric has stuff he wants to do over a couple weeks. Einar, do you have something that you want to do today, right now?
I mean, Einar is gonna pursue what he can. And he's gonna go bit by bit. He's not. He doesn't know what he's gonna find.
Cool. And go ahead, Nihlio.
I was gonna say I can do something today and then do something else over the coming weeks because that's a long project. I only have one thing I want to do over the course of a couple weeks, but I just I remember hearing that weird noise in the forest when I was setting up our own watch guard outside, and I want to go investigate the forest even though they said not to.
Perfect. So you can do one of two things. So you see Toke and Orlaith leave, and it's clear that like you overhear Orlaith talking about the stables and how they have all kinds of different horses, and that they're going to pick a perfect horse to accommodate Sir Toke. So you can either go with them, or you can follow up with Einar, and you guys can go as a team.
I guess I will go with Einar as a team and wait for him. He's going. Oh, I'm so sorry. My head's like foggy. Where Einar's going with the woman, right?
Toke's going with Orlaith, and then Einar is a ranger, so he is most likely gonna sneak around by himself. So as he exits the room, go ahead, Einar.
Yeah, I would take other people. Einar is out of character. Yeah. Einar got a vision of this watchtower, and he thinks it is connected to other things that he wants to stop, and so he is going to go riding out now that he has a location and try to investigate and see what he can do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to go sneak around the forest by myself and try to find the source of that noise again.
And so we've been asked to go find some horses just for general exploration of the island.
Oh, Laszlo offered the noble steeds to you. Yeah,
okay,
and
so
then you can
picking up horses. We're just getting acquainted with horses, but what she's bringing us to do isn't going to take any time. Not really, right? Not any major time.
Yeah, like Orlaith is essentially sort of creating a diversion. Like, she sort of agreed because she's like, great, now I can spend more time with Toke, and it's in a less watched area. But it's like a day trip.
Okay.
You're gonna go hunt for a couple hours.
Like a date.
Oh,
it's a date. Yeah, it's a date.
That was what I was asking.
Okay,
Yeah. I was just asking because I also kind of want to it seemed like Einar wanted me to go with him to some extent.
Yeah, it was more the impression.
The exploration.
He got the impression in that moment that Alaric was kind of looking to him and trying to, like, either asking for help or like, hey, pay attention to this. And Einar was like, yeah, we can take care of that. You don't need to watch us.
I actually really like that our characters miscommunicate a lot.
Yeah.
But I was mostly just like, this guy's talking to me about flowers. I don't know anything about flowers, dude.
Gotcha. Okay.
But no, I think that Alaric would probably go hunting here and would probably tag along with all the stuff. And if Orlaith and Toke at any point in time were to seem to want alone time, Alaric would take off on his horse and go explore and hopefully maybe look for Einar. Maybe I might talk to Einar before I go and see like where you're heading. Because I saw you had a map, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'd love to go with Toke and Orlaith to do hunting, especially because it would mean that we have access to horses for the future, presumably. It seems like we'd be able to grab our assigned horses at any point in time if we do this, right? And then ideally consider breaking off to join Einar in his search.
Totally.
Sounds good. So I'm going with Orlaith and Toke for now.
Perfect. So you guys kind of like section off. So, Einar and Nihlio, you guys decide. Are you guys gonna go together?
Separate.
Is that or separately, right?
I think he was investigating the noise, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, you guys decide that covering the most ground is going to be the most beneficial for you, and that you guys take some time to like kind of look over the map and you know, sort of like not memorize it per se, but get enough of an idea to be like, okay, yeah. And Einar points out some like significant spots for you guys. And you have a better idea of the surrounding area. You're not just going in completely blind.
Yeah.
I share this with who? Sorry.
Yeah. With Alaric and
Alaric
and Nihlio.
and
Toke,
okay.
it has a chaperone essentially.
Yep.
All right. Let's catch up with Alaric and Toke and Orlaith. So you guys go out to the stables, which the stable boy sort of like runs ahead of you guys and gets Orlaith's champion steed already. It is a massive golden horse with like a yellow mane. It sheens in the light. It's very large. It is an intimidating horse, and it sort of like stomps when Orlaith gets close. And Orlaith is very tall, and still this horse is large, even standing next to her. The stable boy then trots out a less large horse, but not a pony, which is what you were given at the docks. And Alaric, they bring out a simple palomino for you. Neither very large, neither very small. Just sort of just right. And it seems very gentle.
I'll give him a little pat on the head and little head scritches. Hey, bud.
The stable boy tells you that that Alaric's horse is named Rosie, and that Toke's horse is named the name that popped in my head was terrible. Thorn. So Rosie and Thorn. Orlaith's horse is named Thunderstorm. So she effortlessly mounts her horse, and you guys also mount up, no problem, and you guys go galloping into the woods. You guys realize very quickly it is extremely dense woods. And you're very, very happy for a chaperone. Eventually, she leads you guys to a sort of pond almost, and she dismounts and hooks her horse up to a nearby area and just starts like camping out in some bushes and motions over to you guys saying, "And now we wait. We wait for a creature to come by."
We're doing blind hunting. Yeah, okay.
Yes, this is part of the allure of hunting. Quiet. Eventually, you guys sit there for like a while, like a couple of hours. She rarely talks, but not like in an uncomfortable way, like in a dudes who go ice fishing way. And eventually, a large black bear comes sauntering out of the woods.
Well, no game animal for us, I guess.
All right, what came out of the woods? I just turned on
a large black bear.
Oh. If it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back.
This is like what you say to Orlave.
Yes.
Yes. That is, I suppose I have heard that one before. She watches the bear drink and says, "This is a very large bear, even for a black bear. Let's give it one more moment before we attack it."
I should mention though the rules also mainly apply for if it is attacking you. You know.
Well, it may be if we keep talking. Let us watch for one more moment. And as you guys continue to watch, you guys notice 3 small bears come out from the woods, and it's obviously a mama bear. And Orlaith seems uncomfortable with killing the black bear. He goes, it's not that I am scared of the bear, it is that I do not want to kill a mother. But...
Just want to be clear. Rules were purely for being attacked. I do not wish to harm the bear, unless it wishes to harm us.
Yes, I feel like we can find some deer or something.
Yeah, a game animal.
Okay. You didn't... Okay, I see. We will wait. We will wait a little longer. You guys wait till the bear, like, clears the area with its cubs behind it. And you guys do eventually, have some deer come by. Large bucks, 2 of them. And, Orlaith seems very happy about this. She goes, yes, finally. And she looks at Toke and Alaric and says, "Would you like to do the honors?"
Do you want us to use weapons, or might I use magic?
I mean, whatever.
Or our guns.
Okay.
As I don't think the magic makes it taste weird.
Oh no, it's complicated.
If you wanted to, I'm sure there's a spell for that.
One on the left, one on the right. Which one do you want?
Are we both gonna attack one?
Yeah, presumably. Or do we want to just take? Do we want to both attack the same one?
Are they?
Or do we want to split up?
You said they're deer?
Yeah, it's like $2.
Okay, I was gonna ask if they're bucks. We don't want to kill. We had no problem not killing the mama bear, but mama deer. Get it. I'll take the one on the right. But
yeah, so you guys will
I have an
decide on
axe.
how you want to. Yeah,
And a
I was like, Toke is gonna have to run up on the deer, while Alaric is just like magic.
do you have a spell you could? I can hold my axe and you just throw me with magic. Or can you just take them out with the...
That only affects me.
Your speed boost only affects you, right?
Warp step, yeah.
How far away are they?
They're about 40 feet.
Okay, because I have sudden charge.
Okay.
So could I? Because it says, with a quick sprint, you dash up to your foe and swing. Stride twice. If you end movement within melee range of at least one enemy, you can make a melee strike against that enemy. You can use sudden charge while burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement.
That should do it.
Yeah, that should do it.
Right? We're close enough to where I can...
And I can shoot from out. Though I don't do a ton of damage.
Well, can you do enough to stun it? Because if I can... Well, because we only get one attack, though, right?
I mean, it's 3 actions.
Yeah.
You get 3 actions.
And then you get it's -5 to hit each time.
Okay, so sudden charge is 1 action. The melee attack is action 2.
Right.
Is sudden charge 1
and then I would have a third. So if you do enough damage to stun that second one,
isn't 1 action.
I would
the what?
see how many squares.
How many squares to have next to it?
Where are we?
On sudden charge, there should be like a number of diamonds.
Oh. There are
probably 2.
Yeah, it's 2. It's like the little arrows,
yeah,
right?
so it takes so you can move.
It's 2 actions.
60 feet. Like your movement is 30 feet. Is that right, Toke?
20 feet.
20 feet. Okay, so you can stride 40 feet, and then you're within 20 feet of the creature, and then you have one
attack.
more action.
So those are my. But so then if I attack, that's all 3, right? Because the sudden charge is 2.
I don't think you're close enough to attack.
Well,
you're still.
You said they were 40 feet away.
Oh yeah, I did.
He could stride and then.
Yeah, you stride, then you attack.
Twice, so 20. So I'm 40 feet. So I'm right there.
Yeah.
I'm petting it at this point, and I can just.
So you get 2 attacks from that, and I'm gonna magic missile on mine.
All right.
Is that enough to kill it?
Roll to hit.
Maybe.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Find out.
Yeah.
Magic missile. You can. Is that that you can change the number of actions that go in for damage?
Yes, I can use all 3 of my actions in only 1 spell slot, which is nice.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
That's nice.
So what do I need to roll?
There should be for the melee attack, there should be a number next to it, right?
Oh, if I'm rolling with my axe?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get 2, from what I understand. But I think there's a negative side effect of
second hit is -5.
So if you bring up the character sheet or whatever, and you bring up the dice menu, there should be below the weapon, there should be a plus something minus something.
Yeah.
That's would be a multiple attack penalties.
So next to next to what it says Dwarven War Axe. Then it says hit +6 damage, 1d8 plus 3.
So if you hit roll on at the top of that weapon, it'll bring up like the little dice table.
Or if you even just mouse over it.
Yeah, it says so Dwarven War Axe +6 +1 -4.
Yep. So the first attack would be +6, then the second attack would be at +1.
Yeah, because it takes off 5 each hit in Pathfinder.
Unless you have
Unless you have something special.
Like another special ability or something.
It's like it's Pathfinder's way of being like, no, you don't just sit there and hit for 3 times.
Yeah, you can't just swing at something 3 times and have that third attack be just as easy as the first attack.
Yeah.
I mean that makes sense because I could just swing away and I can annihilate everybody.
Yeah.
So I also have incredible initiative. I don't know the supplies, but you react more quickly than others can. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to initiative rolls.
Nice.
But we didn't really roll initiative, right?
Yeah, it's deer.
Okay. I still don't understand what the initiative roll is.
The initiative is like in battle. What turn?
Look, I'm trying to impress the big lady.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get the crown on the first fucking swipe. But I might. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say, can I let Toke go first? And if the animal doesn't go down, I'll finish it with the magic missiles. But
Totally.
yeah, or we can do it the other way. I can attack first, and if mine doesn't go down, you can finish it with a magic missile.
Well, but if it does go down, then he's charging at a dead creature already, right?
Yeah, but they're right next to each other, right?
There's 2, yeah.
I guess then
Fair
one
enough.
of the deer would run though, right?
Well, if I attack first, it might stun it a little bit. Because it's...
Up to y'all.
I don't know.
Well, let's just do it. Let's do it simultaneously.
Yeah,
At the same
simultaneously.
time. Just don't
I
hit
don't
me,
know how
please.
much health these things have.
They're actually druids.
I think I'm going to use my dagger, though. I think I'm going to go for, like, a nice little throat slit. Because my dagger is +8 on the first one, so...
And it's better for the meat.
And it's better, also better for the second attack, because
Well, then we
I
can
believe
just...
it's agile.
Yeah, because my second one would be a +4 instead of the +3
Yep.
or whatever it was.
Roll it up.
Alright, I'm rolling. 15.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad.
Nice.
Maybe?
Roll damage.
6.
All right. The deer definitely starts bleeding out and makes like a noise. You may attack again. / Alaric can attack with magic missile.
So the one that he got is taken down, or
It just no. 6 was not enough to take it down.
I'll let. I mean, like, go ahead and take your other one.
Yeah, take your second
Okay,
attack.
so now I do the +4, right?
Now
Yes.
you do this. No, now you do the.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
Yeah,
second
'cause it's
one
plus
was-
eight. my
+4.
first one,
Sorry.
plus-
Yeah.
+4 is my second one. Okay, alright, roll in.
Because the dagger is agile, so it's
Ah, yes,
minus
13.
4.
13 damage, or 13 to hit.
13 to hit.
13 to hit.
That just hits.
Ooh.
Okay, so now roll the damage.
Yeah.
Fucking hate this. 4.
Oh.
God damn it.
I'm
I'm a little hungover, so...
with like not as clean as you wanted to at all. You slit the deer's throat. It makes a horrible noise. Alaric, you're right next to Orlaith, and she goes, "Oh," and then you make like another slash, and it finally goes down and starts like bleeding out. And she goes, "Oh well, I have seen better. I'm not going to lie."
And I'll let loose the other one.
All right, roll to hit.
I don't roll the hit. It's magic missile.
Magic missile.
You roll damage.
Yeah.
Pew.
I'm doing a full 3. I think that is pretty good. That's 11 total.
So unlike Toke's deer, you just
I'm hungover and,
you just light this deer up essentially. Like
I
even on the first
physically had to get up in its face, so give me a fucking break.
You see Alaric kind of like leans out of the blind and just goes, "Huh," and 3 little bolts of light go and just pop the deer real quick. They're force damage, so in theory the deer could bruise, but it won't. It doesn't get cut at all.
You see the 3 like lightning bolts almost like go like how the deer has antlers, and it's almost like a lightning rod, and it literally like seems to electrocute the deer, and the deer just fully like freezes, falls right over, and you hear Orlaith goes, "Now that was something I have not seen before. That's very good."
It's a family heirloom kind of.
Eating what it is.
Well, it's a wonderful haul for the day. We will make this much a jerky. She starts walking over to Toke, and she sort of gives you like a half smile again. She goes, "Oh, very impressive job, Toke. With just a dagger, I was very surprised." She just like picks up the full electrocuted deer and starts like walking back to go put it on her horse.
Some part of that deer is cooked already.
You guys can smell it a little.
It was burnt hair.
It's just like
burnt hair and grilled meat.
As you guys begin returning to the castle, she sort of slows down a little and lets Alaric trot up before them, and she goes, "You know, it is it is close to sunset. Have you ever been on the beaches? It is very beautiful."
Are we not set up on the beach, or is this a different?
You guys are sort of like in the like a large forest, essentially. And the castle is like in the middle of a clearing. There's a town ahead, but like it's almost like a cliffside, but there is ways that you can like go down, and there's like narrow beaches that you can go on.
Okay. I have seen many beaches, many sunsets, but I have not seen this one.
Well, if your friend does not mind taking the deer back, we can probably make it in time.
Hey, Alaric, you got this? Cool. We're gonna make a pit stop. Thanks, bud.
I have one of the deer on the back of my horse.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're gonna give you both.
Yeah, he just like Toke immediately is like, "Here you go," and like chucks the other deer on to your horse.
I assume that it's definitely too much bulk for me to do anything with prestidigitation. So.
Oh yeah, your horse gives like a sad whinny.
I would think it's more scared from just these fucking. They're watching us murder animal. Using its back.
It's a war horse.
Transportation. These horses are pretty big though, right?
Yeah, well, Thunderstorm is. Alaric, yeah, go ahead, Alaric.
If I were to cast Loose Time's Arrow, to give me and the horse an additional... It's all affected targets are quickened. They can use the extra action only to step or stride. So I basically just give them a little more movement so that we can, I guess, move with... Normally when you're carrying a heavy load, you can't move as far. So
yes, you're encumbered.
Yeah, I'm giving them extra movement in the hopes that it's not... that it eases some of the burden.
Totally. You are able to make it back to the castle.
Until the end of my next turn. Never mind.
Oh, what?
It says until the end of my next turn. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Just
Over
for a little
immediately.
bit, you can do it.
I'll just give the horse some very tasty stuff when we get back.
You slowly drop back to the castle. All right, we're gonna catch back up with you guys in a bit. Nihlio.
Yo.
So, you gear up.
Yeah.
And you begin. Do you go by yourself?
Yeah.
And you want to go back to the forest that you were in last night,
When I heard
right?
that. Yeah, when I heard the weird sound in the forest, that definitely didn't sound human.
So you go back out to the forest, and it was pretty dark last night. But you're like, okay, I think I remember where some of this is.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make me a nature check and an investigation check.
Isn't investigation just perception again?
Oh yeah.
No worries. I got a 15 on the nature check.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the perception, I got another 15.
Okay, 15,
Double
15.
15s. I've been rolling so low lately.
During you no longer hear any cries or anything abnormal during the day, and you spend a great deal combing through the woods. You did spend some time looking at the map that Einar had, so you do know where the sort of like cliff sides hit, and you just sort of do almost like a looping path to try and discern if there's anything bizarre in the forest. Now, you're not a ranger per se, but you have had your fair share of sneaking around and doing weird shit in Midgard. So you do notice a couple things that pique your interest. You find a couple of old carcasses that are badly mauled. The bones seem to be like crushed and broken open, and you notice that like some of the marrow has been like sucked out, and I mean truly some of these what remains of them are in just absolute shambles and pieces. You also notice that there is sections of the woods that seem to have been subject to some sort of creature that has like been stampeding through here. You notice claw marks on trees. You notice on one of the trees, you do notice a piece of fur with blood on it. It's you would have almost missed it, and the blood is like old and crusted, but you don't find any current signs of anything, and unfortunately you don't find any caves or anything like that for you to investigate. While you do show signs of some bizarre creature in the woods, you are unsure where its lair is.
Can I use identify magic on the piece of fur with the blood on it?
Absolutely.
And I guess that would be another nature check.
Yeah, so identify magic, what does it say about it? It just says that you can identify it, right?
Yeah, so I'm just going to use identify magic nature. It says once you discover that an item, location, or ongoing magical effect, blah, 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 I can try to identify particulars of its magic, but I also have, because of my high survival stat, I have track, so I want to identify magic on the fur, and if I roll high enough that I get it, I want to track it.
Fantastic. All right. Roll away.
So start with the nature check, yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, Daddy needs a good one.
Or, you can also do recall knowledge if you do very, very badly on this nature check.
I didn't do terrible. I'll take a 17.
So you take a moment to sort of survey the fur, and you at first are like, oh, it's just like a bear fur or something. Like you really want to chalk it up to, oh, this is just like some rogue bear or something like that. But as you begin like really looking at this chunk of fur, you notice that it really reeks. It has a very a stench to it.
Perfect.
That is very particular and not something that you have really smelled before. It has like a rot undertone, but also like a sweat. It's pretty nasty.
Okay. So can I use that scent to try and follow it with my survival skill? And do I need a really high roll for that?
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
Oh, fucking 15 again. Jesus.
Lucky 15.
That's all I'm getting, dude.
You spend the next hour like trying to find anything that resembles the smell, or trying to kind of follow the tracks that you believe that this creature has left. And each time you think that you're about to come across something, you hit a dead end, and you get really frustrated, and you're just like, curse this fucking land.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, can I identify what the animal was that was the carcass, or can I tell how big the carcass of the animal is?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead and roll. Identify is just perception, right? Yeah.
Sure. Right, is it? Yes. Boom. Fuck me, 12.
Maybe a horse, maybe a deer, some kind of hooved creature. It clearly stood zero chance, and like the skull is in like complete pieces, and really only because you found like a hoof is that you can determine that what kind of creature it is at all.
Okay. Cool. How many more actions can I do?
I mean, how long do you want to spend hunting around the woods? At this point, you've probably been hunting for a couple hours.
So yeah, so give me a time of day so I just know what I'm doing for the next bit.
It is going to be sunset soon.
And how far am I from the castle?
You're not terribly far. I would say sunset's probably in like an hour and a half, and it probably is only going to take you a half hour to get to back to the castle.
Okay. I'd like to go back to the castle, and I'd like to somehow acquire a horse, if there is a horse outside of the castle.
Yeah. You, since you have been doing quite a bit of roaming outside the castle, so you have clocked where the stables are before, and
yes.
You present yourself as one of the Kingsguard, and the stable boy is very happy to provide you with a horse. He provides you with an all-black stallion.
All right. So, the black stallion, I'd like to ride. That's 30 minutes. It's about an hour and a half before sunset.
Mm-hmm.
So 30 minutes back to the spot that I was at.
Yes,
I'd like to ride the horse.
30 minutes, yeah.
And I would like to use my grappling hook, and I'd like to tie the horse to a tree in the clearing where the carcasses were.
You bastard.
I'm getting this fucking info one way or another.
Yeah, let's get that ghost.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would like to set myself up a good 50 yards away, but still an eye shot of the horse, and set up my bedroll with no fire.
You're black stout. Okay, you're a monster.
I'm just.
I thought for a second, I thought he meant the carcass of the horse, and I was like, okay, weird. And then I was like, oh, the live horse. You crazy son of a bitch. All right.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth check.
Stealth check for setting up my bedroll?
Stealth check for, setting up your little camp. I'm assuming you're not going to just be out in the open for any creature to see.
I guess
right?
that's fair.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair, yeah.
I was going to tell you the name of the horse, but now I won't.
Thank God. I would enjoy it more. I got a 29.
Fucking just Nihlio in the shadows, in your element. You string up the horse. Nightbird is the horse, and he's like, he does not like being strung up, but you pop down for the evening, and lay out your bedroll and begin your watch.
Yep.
Einar.
Yeah.
You are basically going in the opposite direction that the others went.
I would like to pick out my own horse if I could.
Absolutely.
I would try to gauge which one is the most all-around best for experience and docileness and speed, I guess. Best to my knowledge.
Walking around like the judge from the dog competition where they're like lifting the tail.
Yes.
Little checkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
holding the head up.
Yeah, Einar's a ranger, so he knows his horses. Yeah. Go ahead and make a nature or an animal handling check, please.
There is no animal handling, so I will
roll
damn. Nature.
I was like, there's an animal thing, right?
Yeah. That is... well, it's fine. It's almost good. It's a total of 13.
It's a total of 13. All right, you spend some time, and you don't find any that you think are like particularly warm or ingratiating towards yourself, but you do like the look of a young Foley, who the stable hand says is named Zarina.
Sold. I will take it.
Fantastic. Do make sure that you bring her back in tip-top condition. This is the Queen's new favorite.
Is it now?
She's very fast.
I'm sure she is. I will. Yes, I will take your warning into account. Thank you.
So Zarina is, quite a beautiful horse. Looks like Spirit the Stallion. So sort of like a tan body, black hooves with like the black fading up, and an all black mane. You can see that her tail has been braided as well. And she is very sweet.
I will ride out, heading north, just into the woods. But as soon as I'm out of eye line of the castle fort, I will turn towards my actual destination and best I can navigate off of the map towards the Watchtower.
The stable boy did not lie. Zarina is very quick, and she takes off with shocking speed, and expertly navigates through the woods. In fact, as you are out of eyeline of the castle, you gently start guiding her towards the west side, and as if she knows the path, picks out a very easy way through the woods and rather quickly gets you to the shoreline. And by rather quickly, I mean like an hour.
If I get the sense that she is almost leading me a little bit, I will immediately kind of let her lead me, see if she leads me along the same path to her, and I will not make any attempt to stop her to see if she keeps going where I don't know where to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're like, essentially, again, you're a ranger. You know kind of how to deal with animals very well, and you sense right away that Zarina like knows where she's going and is, like I said, picking her way through the trees. She goes not in a straight line, tends to go like north and a sharp turn south, and then goes like a little bit farther past the castle, and then goes like back up, and then at some point crosses a stream, and like just takes like an interesting way, but never do you think that she is taking you in an incorrect or a way that she has not been before. She is clearly leading. And after about an hour, she does, you guys, it's sort of like one of those things where like you just pop out of the woods, like the woods abruptly end, and you are on a enormous cliffside. It is honestly extremely breathtaking out here. You see the entire ocean out before you. The woods are in the background. You can see the rolling hills of Hibernia off in the distance, and the small beach below. And as you look down over the cliff, you see the Watchtower that everyone has been talking about. And indeed, it looks extremely dangerous. What Lazo kind of failed to mention is that the Watchtower seemed to have, at one time, occupied the tip of this cliff, and appears to have almost only fallen about halfway down the cliff. It is in mostly shambles. You can definitely still tell that at one point it was a watchtower. But what you had imagined in your mind was that lightning struck the tower itself crumbled, where in reality what you're looking at is you're like, oh, it more struck the earth and then sort of toppled that into the ocean. It looks extremely precarious, and but upon kind of looking over the cliff and whatnot, it would be so dangerous but feasible that you could enter the Watchtower. Now, it's essentially half toppled onto the hill. Any wrong, it's like any wrong movement would send it careening into the beach and the oceans below. But it's like just so caught itself on the side of the cliff.
Does Zarina lead me to any point in the cliffside and then stop, or does she just kind of slow down?
She takes you right to the edge, and is not scared at all, and just like literally takes you right to the edge, and just stamps her hooves and sort of seems to starts eating some grass.
I will kind of pat her neck, dismount. While I am considering my next move, I will take out like a miniature kind of stone amulet of Odin, and try to kind of slyly braid it into her tail braid, so that it's kind of behind some hair, so it's kind of in the middle of there.
Okay.
So that's a secret.
Very nice.
If I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
Would love to. That's pretty good. It's a total of 29.
All right. So you take some time to look at the fallen tower, and you're really deciding, am I gonna be this dumb right now? And the more you look at it, the more you're convincing yourself, I could totally make it. I could do it. I can get down this ledge, and there's 3 different points of entry. One, you see that the door is intact. Now, you do have a thought of like, probably the door's locked. So but there is a door, and it does seem like it leads to the interior. You do see that one of the windows is completely broken out. While some of the windows are broken, they are in various stages of broken. Well, you do see one on the outside that is completely empty, so there's no glass to sort of impede you. However, the tower is fallen in such a way where you're like unsure if the window leads into a room or leads
the wall.
To or leads to like a drop.
Yeah.
And you also see, and this would be the easiest to get to, but again, possibly the most precarious to go into, is a fairly large hole in the roof.
Is the cliff just like straight vertical, or is it a little out like that, or is it a little in?
The way I kind of imagined it was like it was almost like curved in, because when the castle fell, it sort of like carved into itself. I wish I could draw, but like it's literally like on almost like a circle or like a half circle, and just like one precarious rock into falling into the ocean.
So from
you
my
could do it.
From my perspective on top, can I see like the wall of the cliff at all?
Yeah. And like, with the 29, I'll even say that if you weren't mistaken, you kind of see where possibly someone has climbed before, or like you make out a path where you're like, it is precarious as shit, but you could technically do it. Someone who is able-bodied, or perhaps, like a druid or someone so that could transform into an animal. Like, it's not an impossible climb. It is just a deadly climb.
Having that thought, can I scan kind of the top of the cliff face here and see if there's any sign of footprints or evidence, like a hole where a stake was put in or something like that?
Yeah, totally.
Like that. I will look around. Do you want another perception?
Another perception.
Beautiful. Still decent. 24.
Okay. Yeah, you make like a wide circle, basically just trying to check out the area, and you recognize the signs of no one has camped here per se, but you do see multiple hooves have like been back and forth towards here. They don't look exceptionally recent, but definitely within the past 5 days or so. You, due to like your high perception score and your ranger abilities, you don't think anyone else would have noticed that since it has been like raining. But you know exactly what you're looking for. You also you do note that you do not see any like gear or anything like that, or any indication of humans. Only that Zarina seems to know the place. You see multiple hoof marks, and that someone has clearly been. You do not believe, Laszlo, that no one has gone over here.
Am I hearing anything? If I take kind of a pause over the I'm sure deafening sound of the waves.
Yeah. With the 24 and the 29, you know what? Make me a religion check, please.
If there's another thing I'm good at. 26.
Okay, fantastic. You feel power in this place. You, Alaric may have mentioned this, but that this place is absolutely teeming with magic, and you know that lightning struck this watchtower. You feel like the presence of Odin, especially looking over the waves and hearing it crash in your mind. you almost can imagine how the tower fell and how it would have looked that night it did. You notice that Zarina is very calm, but you also note that you hear almost no other animals in the nearby vicinity. You do not see any rabbits, you do not see any squirrels, and it has been a moment since you have heard any birds. And especially for this type of cliff area, it's very unusual that no, like, seagulls or something would be around here.
Okay. I will try one more thing before I try to scale down. He is just going to face out towards the water and do his best, just kind of whistle for like 2 seconds, and then just stop and see if there's any response.
All right. You whistle into the vast expanse, and Zarina's ears perk up, and you look and study the land to see if there are any changes. You see nothing. But you do look all the way down, like down the coast side, and you see 2 small figures on horseback far, far down the coast.
Fun. Okay, I will take note of that. I mean, they're far away. Do I have any sense of...
They're very far. They're on horseback.
Okay.
That's what you got.
Cool.
Is
Then I will...
distance kind of stocky?
Shorter than
That
the
would
other
be
one.
funny. Oh, this is such a nice date. Who is that?
Yes.
I will set up my rope. I guess, yeah, just put a stake into the ground, try to make that as tight as as deep as I can. Tie up a rope to that, and then try to kind of use the rope as a guide while following that path that I saw down. Yeah.
All right. We're going to cut back to this. We're going to go back to Orlaith and Toke, who are indeed the 2 figures on the beach. So in the cartoon, a bird flies and we land on the little date that's happening. It is, we'll say that, took at least an hour to ride out, and that you've been investigating some time. And you guys make your way slowly down the beach. Toke, Orlaith didn't lie. It's stunning out here. The waves are very loud, but you are fond of the ocean as a Viking, and you are having a lovely chat with Orlaith, who, despite your minor folly with the deer, seems very interested in you.
Especially took into consideration that I was pretty hungover.
Like, just absolutely cannot stress this enough.
Yes, I did drink enough to kill 12 of your soldiers last time. Keep that in mind. So we're just hanging out on the beach?
Yeah, you guys are just like trotting on the beach. You ride along for quite a bit. And you guys are just kind of having a nice conversation. She asks you about your travels. You guys swap battle stories. She seems very interested in you, which is a newer feeling for you, because it's not that people don't take an interest in you, but, you know, they more take an interest in your status and how, you know, it's uncommon for dwarves to be in this area, and it's never about Toke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's more of some kind of raid. Nothing one may be, but be with me for my status, and I gotta just have fun.
Whoa. One sec.
Oh, did we go on a break?
I think she said she'll be right back.
Okay.
She said 1 sec.
Sorry, Sophie saw another dog who she hates. Yes, you do. Such a mean girl. Is there anything in particular that you would wish to talk to Orlaith about?
Yeah, I guess, could I ask her more about the egg? You know, see if she's willing to give any more information about, like, the egg in relationship with the queen. Trying to pry out, like, if there's, anything going on with, the king and our king, her queen.
Yeah. Go
Anybody
ahead.
have any direct questions? Yeah, what do you want me to roll?
A persuasion check.
It's my persuasion.
Diplomacy.
Oh yeah, diplomacy.
Is that
Sorry.
what it is? Okay. Nat 20. But I got a 20.
Woo! So,
Rolling hot. Well, except for when I'm fucking trying to kill a deer, but we're rolling high today, boys.
Love to hear it.
even though you definitely sense that this is a touchy subject for the court, Orlaith sort of has made it fairly clear that for whatever reason, like, she trusts you, and admits that she does not know where the egg came from. But the queen has had the red egg for the entire time that she's known her, and she does admit that she has seen many fall to being lit on fire because they touched it. And she sort of like apologizes for the move that they had to pull on you guys. And she goes, "It is just standard. You know how it is." And she talks a little bit about the flame god and what she saw the queen accomplish on the battlefield. The way she talks about it sounds very fantastical. And even though you know the queen possesses great magic, like, Orlaith talks about the queen taking out hundreds of warriors with fire, and you're like, okay, that's very, very powerful. And you're not 100% sure if you believe her entirely, but she seems very, very earnest. And she also talks about how she is from like the far north of the island, and that the queen saved her from a unfortunate situation, and that is why she is the queen's champion. She has shown me every kindness in the world when no one else did. I've seen what she can do. She's very
And
powerful.
when she's talking about the fire, like to kill enemies, right? How is she using the fire?
Well, we always, the queen is a very powerful spellcaster. Typically, she has a high point of view where she may cast spells over the battlefield. I admit I do not fight by her side.
Kind of scary. Alright, I'm also just looking at some more stuff. And she told me how she became the queen's. She came from the north and everything, but how exactly did she become the queen? So
I was in a unfortunate marriage that I did not wish to be in.
And that's over now?
Yes, he is very dead.
No. What happened to him?
I crushed his skull.
My kinda late.
You will never bother anyone again. She gets like a faraway look off in her eyes.
Was he a horrible man, or
Yeah.
just you got sick of him seeing crushed his skull?
You're like,
With your hands or
red
like
flag.
your eyes?
Yeah.
I was gonna say after how.
Was it an accident? Was it like a?
Was this a death by snoo situation? Yes. With my hands, I popped out his eyeballs.
It's like that scene from Game of Thrones with the mountain.
The what?
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I watch.
Oh, not you. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm not actually. That'd be crazy. That'd be like the equivalent of like a soap opera in like a theater.
Right.
If Game of Thrones was happening.
Is that the nickname they are giving this? The Game of Thrones? I think that is. There's no more game. The Queen has won. Not the very good title.
It makes perfect sense because Alaric, like me, does not like this Game of Thrones.
Okay, now can I probe at if there are any intentions with our king?
Yeah. She thinks about it. I'll use your nat 20. You guys are just having the conversation. Intentions. I mean, the queen has been looking for a suitable husband for a couple of months now. Unfortunately has not found one, but very fortunately for us, your king seems to have arrived. And stolen her heart, as it were.
And you believe, how do I say that? The feelings are genuine?
I do not pretend to know the inner workings of my queen's heart, but I do believe she recognizes King Asbjorn's power, yes.
He's a very strong man.
Yes, very large man. I approve.
Well, you like a big?
It is I do not care for very tall man, but I do like the red hair.
Alright, I'm also thinking really hard of what I need to... Just got information I need. I just
need to figure out what that is. Alright, we'll cut back to you in 1
No,
sec.
I know one thing I want to ask.
Okay, ask. Go forward.
That I want to like drive the conversation to is the graveyard in front of the castle. And so about the graveyard, the men that are buried there, and then what's going on with like the big crypt outside of it. What seems to be some internal flame or something.
Yes, the late king is buried there. Go ahead and sense motive for me. So, yeah, go ahead and...
When it says so.
I think you just roll perception, and then I'm rolling like a secret DC.
Okay. 16.
As you mention the graveyard, you can see that she gets a little shifty for the first time in the conversation. She was pretty open about everything else, but this she seems to not want to talk about. And she sort of is like, yes, for the late king. Very unfortunate he died just before we came back. Are there other... yes, there are others. I think there are some townsfolk.
The late king is buried inside the crypt.
Yes, we gave him very elaborate send-off.
I think I might have asked you this the other night, but I might have had a little bit of to drink. But how much, or how did he perish?
She again looks a little shifty about this, and she goes, when we returned from victorious, they told us that the king had suffered some sort of madness, and he fell very ill and passed away very suddenly.
And nobody knows what the illness was?
No. Very strange.
Very strange, indeed. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for bringing me down to the beautiful view. Sunset is beautiful.
Yes.
An amazing spot on the island.
Right up here is actually my very favorite spot. And you see that she's bringing you to sort of like a natural area where I don't know if you guys have ever, in Australia they have this, but there's basically a rock formation that has formed a large pool in sort of the middle of the like kind of jutting out into the ocean. So it is like a Olympic-sized pool almost that has like a rocks around it, and like at high tide it'll be connecting into the ocean, and then at low tide it'll just be its own freestanding pool. She sort of is like, I like to come swimming here from time to time. It's very peaceful. The salt water is good for you.
You know, I am still dealing with a little residuals from last night. Saltwater sounds great. Would you love to go for a swim?
Yes, let us go for a quick swim. We can watch the sunset. It'll be very beautiful. She sort of like parks her horse, and she wasn't in like she does have like her metal armor that she wears. Under she has like some leathers, and she doesn't get like completely disrobed or anything, but she has like some like under things that are like, you know, linen, like light cloth. The medieval equivalent of like a tank top and some shorts. You do notice that as some layers come off, that you notice a couple things. One, her leg is you didn't notice this right away, because she hasn't done a ton of walking around today, but as she sort of like takes off her armor and starts walking towards the pool, that like her gait is a little off, and you notice that one of her legs was very badly injured. Looks fairly recent, like only a couple months healed. Like a large chunk of it had been taken off, like a whole part of her thigh, and then it's healed up, but like, ooh, it's slightly gnarly. You also notice that along her arms and her neck, she has like cuts that you would imagine are from a sword, but along her back, and again, she's kind of wearing like a little like a shirt or like a tank top, I guess is what I'm calling it, but you can see even through long, jagged, red claw marks for what you can discern, and they are massive across her back.
So the chunk out of her thigh kind of looks like does it look like a bite?
Sexy.
You would imagine so. Like just basing off of like, you're a fighter, you can discern an animal wound from a knife wound, and she has plenty of knife wounds and stab wounds, but the chunk out of her leg looks like a bite, and unmistakable claw marks along her back and shoulders.
It must be a surfer. It's definitely a shark. Okay, so as I guess, do dwarves wear loincloths or boxers or something? I guess I'll get my swimming trunks on.
Yeah.
Make my way up into the water. As it's like waist high to her, it's already coming up to my chest. But can I?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Toke.
I was just gonna like just. Can I ask her if she's like seen any just off the way things look, any good combat, any good fights as of late?
As she sort of like settles into the seawater, you can see that she like visibly relaxes, and you would imagine, like, it occurs to you that like you're old, right? But like this is also a battle-hardened female warrior, and she has obviously taken quite the brunt of like a couple of battles recently. And she sort of smiles at Toke and goes, "Yes, many fights have been won. Some fights have been lost. I do not know how much longer I have in me. I did not fare so well in my last couple of fights. I think my arm wrestling days are over as well.
Well, there's no need to retire after one loss.
My men roasted me about it endlessly.
I will kill them.
The queen will definitely be very unhappy about that.
Okay, I will maim them.
Yes, I know how painful that can be.
We'll get back to the castle later. I want you to point a couple of them out.
Yes, I will do that.
Can I ask her? So I see that it looks like you have been I just talking about kind of pointing out the scars and the wounds, like, oh, like I could tell, like, that's, from a sword or a dagger, an axe, whatever. And then can I be like, but those, like the one on her thigh and the claw marks on her back, I'd be like, those were no human. What kind of animal were you, what kind of game were you hunting? That put up such a fight? Because we saw a large black bear earlier, and I don't even think that bear would do something like that.
She looks away from you, and you can see that, like, she's, like, tearing up a little bit, and, like, you would imagine... Sometimes warriors suffer wounds that take away more than flesh, right? And she looks back at you, and she goes, when we returned, it was brought to my attention that a beast had been captured. And we thought we could subdue it and control it, but we could not. I failed to kill it.
What kind of beast took on you and the men? Also, I know it wasn't your fault, most likely, because the help you had was subpar.
I did not have any help that day. It was meant to be a secret. I was meant to slay the beast on my own. I could not.
What kind of beast would you have been a secret for you to have gone to slay by yourself?
They told me it was a wolf, but it was no wolf. I've never seen a wolf like this. I hear it sometimes. In the night, I hear it calling for me. It is coming back for me. I will die trying to slay it.
Is there any way that I can help? Can we go hunt this beast?
It is a burden I bear. It is because of me that the townsfolk are missing.
Why did you take him? And where were you holding this creature?
She gets a shifty look in her eye, She goes, it was somewhere in one of the many basements in the castle. I do not remember exactly. It was a blur.
Do you know if it still frequents these tunnels? It knows how to access them?
It must be somewhere.
Because the other night, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was wandering the grounds for any sign of the ghost. And I heard scratching from the crypt.
Scratching from the crypt?
Near the crypt. From the crypt.
She gets a very concerned look in her eye, and she goes, I believe it is loose in the forest. I have yet to find its lair. But it is out there. It follows me.
Can I ask if... Again, can I help? Either capture or slay this beast with also little, nobody does my girl like that.
I
do, and just also mention I do have my friends are very skilled, and this can be fed quietly.
Do not wish to put you in any danger, but we can talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to offer my services and unknowingly the services of some of my companions.
Just volunteer them to go hunt a werewolf. No problem.
Yeah. I already know that they love me, so
they're gonna do it.
They're gonna do it.
You guys settle into a silence as you guys watch the sunset. Nihlio and Alaric, you guys meet back.
Oh, sorry, give me a second. My
Go for it.
DoorDash order is here.
My DoorDash order's here. You guys arrive back at the castle.
I will definitely return the deer to... I guess I'll bring the deer back to the stable and figure out where to bring them from there.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing back the horses. You can just take them down to the kitchens. Did you need me to call someone for help?
Yeah, do you have a wagon or a pack animal or something?
Yeah, sure. I got a wagon.
I might be able to get one, but it would take some doing.
He brings out like a little cart for you.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. I will I'm gonna do something I haven't done before. I'm gonna ask my great uncle Frodrick. I'm gonna ask him really quick. I'm gonna use my focus spell, Ancestral Memories. I don't really know how focus spells work, but I have a focus point, and I use it, I guess.
Okay.
The memories of long dead spellcasters grant me knowledge in a specific skill. Choose any non-lore skill, or a lore skill related to the ancient empire from which your bloodline sprang. You temporarily become trained in that skill and might gain other memories associated with an ancestor who is trained in that skill. So my great uncle Frodrick was very, very strong, and he did a lot of.
He was a beefy elf.
Yeah, he was a beefy elf. He was a strong guy.
He was a swole elf.
Yeah, but he mostly was a fighter. So I'll ask Frodrick for lifting techniques. and presumably make an athletics check to determine if I can.
Yes, go ahead and make an athletics check.
So my athletics goes from being a +0 to being trained temporarily while I'm doing this, and it's now a +5.
Okay, great. You hear in your voice, "Lift from your knees, Alaric."
I don't really understand what that 7.
Oh no, that's definitely lifting with your back. Oh.
When you lift with your knees, the horses or the deer's on my back.
You squat and then you. Never mind, you did it all wrong.
No, okay, that makes sense. Actually, that makes sense. Can I try again?
Yes, absolutely. Ancestral visage appears before you.
14. Yeah,
it's a ghostly visage, and it shows you how to bend with your knees. And you only minorly tweak your back.
He looks very much like Horalu. Anybody knows?
I don't know that, but please put it in the chat.
Elden Ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll bring the horses back and
sorry, the deer, not the horse.
Yeah, the deer back. I'll bring the deer back.
Yeah. Nihlio's the one that's out here killing fucking ponies.
Yeah.
Also, I would also just kind of chat. I assume this kind of happens in my head. The actual talking to the ancestor, because it says
yeah.
memories of the and I feel like I probably just kind of like in that kind of I'm actually just talking to the memory of this person, try and get a sense for what he'd do in this situation.
So you're asking Frodrick, the fighter.
Yeah, I'm not really asking for any significant help. I'm just kind of like, I need to vent. I'm just venting to Uncle Frodrick.
Everybody needs an ear now and then.
Yeah, Uncle Frodrick is like, already, not gonna lie, man. Orlaith is kind of hot, though. I can see what Toke sees in her.
I mean, feel it, but like, not my type, you know.
Dom your mommy.
Yes, and then Uncle Frodrick is like, no, you must marry an elf to continue the bloodline.
I mean, the bloodline's not really crazy about me, so...
You have a duty. Oh, grow up. And like the visage like disappears.
I know how to get rid of my ancestors.
I love that. I love that power. Please use all the time.
I get one a day, I think.
Yeah. We're gonna have to make
I think you can refocus or something. I was trying to look it up, but
I have to figure out how focus spells work.
Yeah, I think there's like an action you can take to like try to recenter yourself or something. You can do that once a day to regain focus points or something.
I'll look into it. I'll look into it after my character drops these deers off. And also after I look up Horalu for a picture.
You go down
Can
to
I
the kitchen.
for a moment?
Oh yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Nihlio.
No, this is me. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a party pooper, but I have my girlfriend's little brother here. I'm looking after him for the weekend, and he's been chilling on the couch for the past couple hours while we do this. So, is there a way that after I take my turn, maybe I could just be caught up on what happened with the other guys afterwards, so I can
absolutely, Nihlio.
Thanks, that would be great. Thank you.
So, we're gonna briefly go over what happens in the castle. We'll cut back to Nihlio, and then we'll let you go, Nihlio.
Awesome, that would be super. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Alaric, what would you like to do in the castle at this moment?
I think in the castle, I just kind of, if I find that Einar's not here, I'll just kind of I'll just kind of get to work on the diplomatic stuff. I'm not doing anything in particular. I'm just kind of just trying to like insinuate myself into the whole fucking arrangement, the whole situation, and kind of flex that I'm supposed to be read in on everything. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna pry into the affairs of this whole place over the next period of time. But like that's what I'm gonna start kind of making the connections and understanding the hierarchy of the castle life and who answers to who's in charge of what, you know, who's in charge of the fleets and who's in charge of, you know, who's directly under the queen in different aspects. Is there like a cabinet, or is it, you know, like that's just kind of, he's just gonna kind of get the sense. He just wants to be well informed.
You want to watch another movie tonight, or what do you feel?
So
No?
You're not muted.
yes.
Are you good?
Sorry, Nihlio, you're not muted, but
Oh, sorry, I didn't know my mic was down.
my bad. Alaric, you drop off the deer to the scullery maids, who thank you. You go freshen up in your quarters, and you present yourself back to Laszlo, who is like, "Oh, thank goodness you're back. We have much to discuss. Here, come." And he sort of whisks you up the stairs to the second floor, where he unlocks his office, which of course Nihlio has seen, but you have not. And you see the same thing that Nihlio saw, tons of just like papers and scrolls and all this stuff in this office, as well as multiple runes that again are kind of foreign and strange. Decorating the office, it's definitely like flame god out. And he sort of like takes a whole bunch of scrolls and is like, "Oh, here we go." And you guys go all the way up to the tower. He absolutely blows past the first guard at the bottom of the stairs. And the big guard at the top doesn't even question it, just opens the door and steps aside just enough that Laszlo and you can kind of like squeeze past him. And you enter the queen's chambers, where the king and queen are discussing something. They stop. It looks like they were just having like a pleasant chat. And Laszlo starts spreading out his papers on the various desks and tables. You notice one thing right away. You notice that the fire in here is roaring, and that in the fire appears to be the egg.
Okay. I want to just do one thing. So runes typically, even if this is a religious thing, runes typically read as arcane to I think to me, but potentially to Alaric. Can I just do a really quick Arcana check to see if I understand what's going on with the runes?
Absolutely. Do it up.
Okay. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty good. It was like on a 1.
Ooh.
And then it rolled over. That's gonna be a 25.
Okay. So you definitely see like the dragon rune. You see a lot of like runes that you would imagine have to do with like the flame god and his lore. You recognize
they're all decorative. None of them appear to be
spells or anything like that.
Active.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
You see what you would imagine to be like the beginnings of like the tale of Queen Skanat, you know, and talks about like her great powers. Again, you're just getting kind of like flashes for this, because what Laszlo's really doing is like he's probably one of the only people who knows how to like read and write in the castle, so he's just sort of like taking notes and like pinning them up and then adding on to things.
So in with my 25, nothing in this room is arcane. Is that correct?
Yes,
like,
Laszlo does not have any magical powers or runes at his disposal. Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because I know there's a lot of magic around that's active magical things, right? And I think Alaric would love to, in kind of being around the castle, would love to just kind of keep an eye out in general to see if I ever see anything that indicates arcane. Because of course, if it's not arcane, it's something else. And
Right.
then I could probably cross-reference with other people. So nothing arcane in his room, but there. Can I detect magic real quick just to see if there are magical effects in his place?
Mhm.
Like, is there magic in his room?
Not the only ping that you get is his amulet.
Okay, but that's not arcane either.
To give you 100% answer, I'm gonna have to look at that, but I don't. Like, what would?
So it's either so magic's either arcane, it's nature, it's what's it called?
Primal.
It's arcane, primal,
Occultist.
Yeah. And
or
then
religion.
Or religion, yeah. Divine, I think it's called.
No.
So it's not. It
Not.
doesn't appear to be arcane.
Well. No. No, it is not. It is distinctly not arcane.
Okay. Cool. It's just an important thing to keep kind of like say that Alaric has kept an eye on, because if I know that stuff isn't arcane, I think in theory I wouldn't know this, but I think Alaric would know in theory what that eliminates from being possible for these people to do. At least to some extent. You know?
I would say that the magic from the land itself is like a primal magic. And that obviously the magic in the ritual was occult magic.
That seems reasonable. Yeah. And then I could do a little primal magic with the little flame that I can make, but that's the only primal magic I can do.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I go up to the room with him doing the scrolls and such.
Perfect. All right, we're gonna quickly cut to Nihlio and
I am here.
his nefarious activities. So, you string up your beautiful black stallion and you disappear into the surrounding bushes, and you wait. And you wait. And you wait until it gets dark. Every once in a while, you do hear rustling and such. Nihlio, go ahead and roll me a nature check.
Right, nature check it is. Boom. I got come on, 18.
You wait until nightfall, and you notice that the forest is quite lit at night. As you would imagine, there is no light pollution, and the stars burn very brightly, and the moon is very, very close to being full. Maybe only like a day or two out.
Okay.
Are you just like camping out as long as it takes?
I'm waiting through the night.
You wait until pretty late, like to the point where you're almost nodding off. And you finally begin to hear some big rustling. And the horse starts losing its absolute shit. Like, the horse starts like trying to get out of the reins and is neighing very frantically, and you like the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand up, and you know that there is danger nearby.
Okay. So I like to just sit. I get a tiny bit closer to the horse, I want to see what's going on.
I'm still using the 29 from before, but you are shadow. And the horse is like frothing at the mouth, like eyes wide, and it is really struggling to the point where you think it might even hurt itself if it struggles further. And you hear a large, low growl from the woods.
Which direction?
Southwest.
And I'm facing.
Like, you are northeast, so you're like diagonal.
Okay.
And you sort of and you had picked like a small clearing, so enough where it's like you had like you forced the situation to where it had to come out kind of in the open. What you see is one of the largest wolves you have ever laid eyes on. It is unnatural. Its eyes do the thing, like, you know, when you like catch like a cat's eyes in the night and it like flickers, the light reflects. It is black as night. You really only see like its silhouette fairly well because of the moonlight up above and the eyes. And once you see the eyes, you start to kind of see the form beneath. It has massive claws and is very, very large. It's sort of like haunched over, and
is it walking on its hind legs?
It is not. It is walking on all fours, but you can kind of tell that it can go on its hind legs. And it very slowly, with very little effort, is like gonna get on this horse. The horse losing its shit, making hysterical noises, and you hear and a large claw, and you hear it just swipe into the horse. The horse immediately goes quiet, and you can hear you see the creature starts to like kind of take it down a little.
Okay, so is it feeding on it? It's
almost like any like a wolf would just start chowing down, right? But this it is so unnatural. Like, everything you see about this is wrong. It's far too like smart and like agile to just be a wolf. It is like slightly up on its hind legs, and it's sort of like cutting down the rope, and it looks like it's gonna like drag it off.
Okay. We're still using my sneak stat that we rolled a 29, which is almost a perfect one, right?
Yep. Sneak. It has not noticed you. You have not made a sound.
Yep. I'm gonna sneak right up behind that motherfucker, and I'm gonna drop that little item I have in my pack called a blight bomb.
Okay. Tell me what a blight bomb does.
A blight bomb contains volatile toxic chemicals that rot flesh. A blight bomb deals the listed poison damage, persistent poison damage, and splash damage.
Alrighty.
So the bomb deals 1d6 poison damage, 1d4 persistent poison damage, and 1 poison splash damage.
Alright. And it just like hits, or like you throw it. How does it say it's administered?
Oh, no. I have a 29 sneak stat. I'm putting that thing in its asshole without it looking. Like, I'm going right up in there, and I'm dangling it between the little wolf's balls.
All right,
or a vagina. It could be a female.
You're like, I don't know. You're like, the 29 was only for the stealth. So you're able to very quietly and stealthily, like literally, like plant this bomb while it's sort of like doing this like weird thing with the horse. And just as it's about to like go off with its kill, the blight bomb goes off with a sort of like almost like a noxious cloud of poison, and as soon as it hits the wolf, it howls in rage and pain, and it is a tortured sound, and you recognize it instantly as the howl that you heard the other night. And you also know, without a shadow of doubt, that this is not just a wolf, that there is something else going on. And the wolf is in a savage frenzy at this point, and it starts like tearing into the horse in pain and rage. It's basically going to tear everything in this clearing up entirely. Even with the 29, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Does this thing have a health pool?
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
So how much is so how much is the initial damage?
1d6 poison damage.
Okay.
So, someone want to teach me again how I roll that?
Yeah, there should be a
go ahead, Nick. Symbol.
Yeah, there should be a dice symbol on the bottom right.
That's right. There we go. 1d6 roll. I got a 5. Let's go.
All right. It definitely is in, like, it feels the pain, and it is livid. It is basically going to, like, if you stay in one spot, it will find you. So you can either decide to sneak off, or you can decide to confront it.
What's the party think, boys? Do I try to kill this thing? It's like freaking out on poison right now.
You got any other tricks? Any other little bombs up your sleeve?
I have my Cloak of Eyes if I need to get away in a slight pinch, because my Cloak of Eyes, I can just dazzle an aura at a range of 30 feet. And then I have to do it a DC 18 Fortitude save.
If you have a way to get your way safely, I think it's worth it. It's definitely something you can check out if you like. But make sure you have a way to actually get away for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that you've wounded it. Do you have any kind of tracker type situation?
My thought process is if it does take off, I'm just going to gather some like poison on a piece of cloth or some armor, like I rip off a piece of. Maybe we could go back to the castle, get some hounds, and do the whole thing. Or I could fuck over Toke and bring over his girlfriend a new trophy because he made fun of my mustache.
I mean, I already volunteered. So you think you're being rude, but you're just helping me out. Help me get closer to the big woman.
I know I can't know this at all. Well, I don't know. You can't tell me obviously how much HP it has, right?
I mean, you can.
I think that's a recall knowledge. Yeah.
That's a what?
That's a recall knowledge, and if you get a wildly high score, I can tell you like how around more than 6 for sure, my dude.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is.
That was all I needed to know.
He will take some damage like next turn and stuff too. He has to like keep making some for that.
Yeah.
Because I have persistent damage. So my other question is, the persistent poison damage. Like, let's say I do leave. I mean, he can't get rid of that consistent poison damage, can he? Like, will it just keep poisoning him?
He takes it every turn, and then he makes a save. And if he succeeds in the save, the damage stops, I believe.
Okay, so even if I was to run away, he's just gonna like eventually make a save, but we don't know how often that would take before he takes damage throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't know exactly how badly he will be damaged.
And how intricate is combat? Like this thought process, if I wanted to take a dagger and rub it on the poison that's on the ground or in the splash zone, or even like just rub it along the coat of the dead horse that now has it all over it. The poison can't be added to my dagger and shit, right?
I believe that would be another action to like apply poison to your dagger. I would possibly allow, that to be like essentially like a finesse of your environment.
Okay. Oh, dude, I totally didn't even think about this, but I've had Ghost Sound as my arcane tattoo for, like, ever. I could have been stepping without ever needing to be noticed. Neat. Okay, well, now that I just saw that.
I have some extra effects that happens anytime I cast a certain type of spell.
Yeah, so it's wild. Alright, I think I'm gonna... What do you guys think, dude? Should I go for it? I mean, I could use the Dazzling Cloak to get away if I need to.
How would you get away? What does the Dazzling Cloak do?
Okay, so the Dazzling Cloak... Cloak of Eyes. While wearing the Cloak of Eyes, you emit a dazzling aura to a range of 30 feet. A creature that starts its turn in the aura must attempt a DC 18 Fortitude save. On a failure, the creature is dazzled for 1d4 rounds by the entrancing, unblinking eyes of the cloak, regardless of the results of this save. The creature is immune to this aura for 24 hours. Regardless of the results of this save, the creature is immune to the aura for 24 hours. You can deactivate or activate this aura with a single action.
And Dazzled is great, but I'm just gonna say I would presume that a wolf has other senses other than just eyes. Just gonna put that out
Especially this fucking demon.
Yeah, but enraged with poison, just lashing out.
They're
not gonna
try to lash out
The
of it.
logic of real life is a wounded creature is even more dangerous than a, you know.
Because once this thing once it sees you, I think it's over. I think the minute it kind of, I mean, this thing is fucking expensive, I think. I mean, because you didn't do any, like, recall knowledge or anything, so you don't know how much health it has, right?
I mean, can you take a look at it? Does it look at all injured, or was that just kind of a scratch and made it angry?
Like a
it's
perception.
in, yeah, you can, it's a big beast. Like, you don't think one thing is gonna take it down. This is gonna be a fight.
Yeah, you said a lot more than 6, right?
A lot more than 6.
Yeah, but shit adds up over time, and I'm pretty nimble. And can I roll my persistent poison damage that it's gonna take? Because, like, let's say I roll a 4 and it takes 4 fucking damage per turn, and I can just evade for the next, like, 6 turns. That's a pretty hefty amount, right? Like, how much HP do normal monsters have in D&D? Because remember, I have no baseline.
Okay.
I mean,
no,
Yeah, it depends on the creature's level.
Yeah.
But just based on, like, you know, I would say I'll give you a little bit of meta knowledge of just, like, a beast such as this, like, you could 1v1 a wolf, but this is not a wolf. This is, like, some extra shit. So it's definitely going to be risky and dangerous. Not impossible, especially if you're clever and like, have, you know, use all your things a certain way. I've seen people defeat stuff way above their level. So it's not impossible, it's just risky and dangerous.
How far is he from the beach that I'm at?
Far.
a long way.
You're closer to Einar than anything.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you don't have, like, a flare type thing. Or something.
Oh, that's, I mean, yeah, if you had a flare, I suppose. But
or, like, something where you can kind of alert the rest
wolf
of
would know exactly where you were if you used a flare.
That's true. Okay, then I have my last idea of what I'm going to do, because I don't want to go through the whole fight, especially with Ashton here, so I want to get off it when I can. I want to, if possible, cut off a tuft of the wolf's fur. Is that a possibility? Does that count as a fight, or does that count as an action? Or something I can do?
A sleight of hand.
Which would be what in Pathfinder? Acrobatics?
Oh, is there not a... Is there like a...
I would do thievery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
what?
thievery, sorry.
Thievery? Oh, can I use a hero point?
Yeah.
Well, what does a hero point do again?
I think it's just like an automatic success kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I think.
I think it's a reroll. I think it's a reroll.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just
it's like inspiration.
Yeah, go ahead and roll thievery. You're thieving the fur, and then if you need to use a hero point, you can reroll.
If you tell me if I fail or save, can I choose to use the hero point, or do I have to choose the hero point and then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I rolled a 15.
15 is not going to be high enough to do it without the creature noticing.
Okay, then I need... If the creature notices, then can I use my dazzling cloak to get away? That's all I need to know.
The dazzling cloak
True.
only obscures its eyesight, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'll use a hero point because I have 2 right now. I use a hero point. Reroll.
Yeah, and steal's only 1 action. So.
I got a 19 this time.
Sure.
You are able to get a tuft of hair, and as you get sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And as you get the tuft of hair, it sort of like realizes it's not alone, and it turns. It doesn't see you yet, but it takes a big sniff of the air.
You cut out what?
It takes a big sniff of the air, and it growls in your direction and begins to like stalk. Fight or flight. Fight or flight.
No, I have.
It takes damage.
What's that?
It takes damage, for the record.
It does take damage. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll your.
Roll my d4.
Yeah.
And then and then it gets a 1 for splash damage as well. So add 1 poison splash damage to the persistent poison damage. So that's a d4. What the fuck? Doesn't even 3. So it takes 3 damage persistent now.
Okay.
So yeah, 3 points persistent damage at all times. Or until it gets the saving throw. But
and what's the saving throw?
Actually just a DC 15 flat check. What I just saw.
Oh neat.
For any persistent damage. Which means just roll d20. Has to get it above a 15. Or a 15 or higher.
Okay, it doesn't make it the first time. So, it begins to stalk towards you, and it basically is about to lunge on you. Nihlio.
Yeah, so this is flight for me.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna take the soap in my pack and just like wave it in front of its nose and then throw it.
Do you have like a disengage action as like a rogue or like a?
Everyone can step instead of striding, and that's 5 feet without opportunity attacks.
Oh, nice.
That's an action.
I'm going to.
He won't go as far, but you'll not take a hit.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I can step. You said.
Yeah, which is
that's disengage.
Yeah,
it's mainly for avoiding attacks of opportunity.
Okay, what about stride? You move up to your speed.
That's like full sprinting.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that a good thing? I don't want to fucking do that right now.
Go for it.
Question of whether or not it'll get a chance to try and bite you.
Yeah. Or see you run away.
Or see me run away. So, I mean, yeah. So, what is my option for flee? Is there a chance I will fail the flee?
So if you do a step, it basically like you don't know if this creature has an attack of opportunity. In D&D, everyone gets an attack of opportunity. In Pathfinder, it's possible that the creature has an attack of opportunity. So
and you know that, and I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's also a question of whether the wolf actually sees him or not, or knows that he's leaving the range, right?
I would definitely say that you took a piece of its fur and you are close enough that like it can sense you and knows where you're at, and like you can, as a rogue, possibly run and lose it. But it knows that something is there, and it's going to be on top of you like pretty soon. This is all happening in like seconds, right?
No, I know. So I'm fleeing though. That's my main thing. I'm going to flee. But my question is, like, it depends on how I do it. Either I'm just gonna run. Or if I try to flee and he catches up to me and I'm forced to fight, I might as well just use my dazzling cloak now and then just fucking run. You see my point? Like, I'm either gonna run first and then just dip, and if I get away, then I get away. But if I'm gonna have the chance of going into combat, then I'm just gonna use the cloak now and then fucking run.
There's a high chance that it will catch you. Like like your instincts are just like, this thing is not fucking around. It is a very high chance that if I do not play my cards right, that it will be fully able to attack me.
Okay, let's do the dazzling cloak then. I might as well just fucking go and then run.
All right, dazzling cloak.
It's an automatic hit with a D if you don't hit a DC 18 Fortitude save.
DC 18 Fortitude save? Damn.
Yeah. Fortitude. And then I gotta roll a D4 for how many rounds?
That's a big foe.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
Good.
D rolls like trash. Like, very good for y'all most of the time.
Neat. So, yeah, I do that, and then I dip back to the castle, panting and fucking screaming and wailing my hands in the air.
Well, I wouldn't say you're screaming, but yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
You run so silently. You are sweating, and you are absolutely certain that if you had lingered one more moment, that this giant wolf would have made short work of you, just like it did your horse. You are also now trying to come up with a way of telling the queen and the stable boy that their horse is dead, but you're like, I'm gonna worry about that later and worry about escaping the wolf now. And you're like,
oh, I never cared for the horse. I knew it was gonna die. I planned on that the whole time.
Just make some lie up saying it attacked you.
Yeah.
It kicked me and it ran off. It bucked me off and it ran off.
And you run back to the castle.
All right, last quick question.
Yes.
What is considered a basic task?
Basic task is like it's essentially anything that wouldn't take more than one action, or would be a really complicated thing that, like a project that needs to be done over a couple days, I would imagine.
Okay, because I have this skill. It's my skill feat, and it's called Assurance, which lets me, even in the worst circumstances, you can perform basic tasks. Choose a skill you're trained in. You can forego rolling a skill check for that skill to instead receive a 10+ to your proficiency bonus. Do not apply to any other bonuses, manifest, blah, 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 blah. Could I have been using that for, like, sneak and stuff?
You're trained in sneak, right?
Well, yeah.
Then yes.
I could have been getting nat 20s without even rolling that whole time.
Well, you would have, yeah. Well, I suppose if your stealth
30,
is
20,
10,
excuse me, yeah.
Yeah. If you're, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Okay. All right. Well, cool. That's my last
thing. Read your character sheets.
I'm always focused. I'm focused on the feats and actions, and then I go to my actual thing for level 1, and I'm just like, oh, what does a winter touched human do again? Oh, what is my arcane tattoos? And it's like, oh, I have ghost sound. I don't fucking I move silently.
I always gotta take, like, especially on my spellcast ones, I always gotta take like the 20 minutes before the session to just be like, what is it? What do I do again?
Yeah, it's real wild.
But Nihlio, we will let you go. Take care of your nephew, and hope you feel better. And we will pick back up with you next time.
All right, then catch me out when the time comes. Because if I get to that house, I'm gonna show all you guys the fur. We're gonna go fucking hunt.
Let's fucking go.
I like it.
All right.
Revenge.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Much love. This has been fun.
All right. Thank you, Griffin. Feel better.
Talk to you guys later. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Einar. You have been on this cliff. What do you wish to do now?
I'm climbing down.
Climbing down.
With the rope that I've
With
set
the
up,
rope.
and I'm climbing. I'm trying to go down that precarious path that I saw and try to follow it. Does it look like it's going straight towards the Watchtower? The kind of winding path that could be a path that I saw?
Yeah. You basically start picking out like footholds and stuff, and you're like, okay, I'm fairly certain that this is just gonna take me right to where I need to go, and you're sort of just like picking your way. You don't see any indication of which seems to be the favored route to the door, to the window, or to the roof.
Okay. Then I mean, if it wasn't obvious and I had a choice, I guess I'd go for probably the hole
in the roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is definitely the easiest to access. So you only make a short climb. Is that like a climbing check or like a or like an acrobatics, I suppose?
Okay. I will take it.
Yeah, like I'll take it.
Total of 11.
Ooh, it is precarious. It is. You are immediately like, this was the worst idea I've ever had. And you are just like throwing up an absolute constant prayer to Odin, like, please, this is not how I go out. There's a couple of moments where like you lose your footing a little, and you have the moment where you're like, oh, I'm gonna die, and then like you don't, and you're like, oh. But it is right at the end, you slide just a little bit, and you almost miss the hole in the roof, and you have to really pull yourself back up, and you just barely do it.
Does the rope go all the way, or at a certain point I have to let go and keep going?
How many feet is the rope again?
It doesn't actually say. I'm gonna assume it's 50 feet, but
okay, yeah, I'm gonna assume it's 50 feet too. No, you're good. 50 feet is quite a lot. The 50 feet actually would have gotten you to the window, but you're just like, I'm just not trying to risk my chances, and the less I touch this wobbly piece of shit is way better. You are at the hole in the roof.
Is there enough? Well, first of all, I'm gonna look inside. But is there enough leftover rope that I can use that to kind of go down into this hole as well?
Yeah, go ahead and make me a perception check.
I will do that. $19.
It's definitely dark in there. You think that the rope is unfortunately you look down and you're like, shit. And you had a thought where you're like, this could just straight up just be like a straight drop down to the floor. Like there's no floors on this watchtower, and it is as you suspected. So while the rope will help you, like, not take all of the falling damage, you will take some falling damage falling to the floor.
So I can tell it's just a straight to the bottom.
Yeah, it's very dark, and you would imagine, okay, so if the window is 50 feet down, let's say, and you have about, you've got an extra, like, 20 feet of rope, and if the watchtower, so you would probably fall 50 feet or so. This is all like big guesstimation because you're like, it's dark down there.
Yeah.
But it is still daylight when you're doing this.
Okay. Got it. So I still have that.
Yeah, it's gonna be dark soon. So this is sort of also something where you're like, fuck, if I go down here, I might be down here for a bit, you know?
Yeah. From my new position, do I see any obvious holes or caves or gaps in the cliffside close to this watchtower?
You do not see any caves or anything. You see that this particular side of the cliff is sort of unique in a sense, whereas this due to the lightning striking it or whatever have you has been cut out in such a way to allow for climbing, whereas the other cliffs look much more sheer. You do see, again, farther off in the distance, the two figures seem to have dismounted their horse and are swimming now.
Okay. The ambient power that I sensed earlier, do I get any sense of, like, direction from that, or is it just kind of a fleeting thing that I can barely sense?
You are more, the power that you feel is akin to, like, the primal magic that Alaric also feels from the land. Yeah. You feel it is a distinctly different sense than when you're at home. When you're at home, you know, Midgard has points of power, right? So, like, there's, like, cairns and, like, mystical, magical places, but those are special points that have been blessed by the gods or cursed by the gods for whatever reason. This feels like the land is different, that the earth itself is innately magical. You are very surprised that Queen Skanat is the only magical person here with all this, like, brimming with energy.
Okay. All right. It's still very dark inside. I can't really, the daylight's not really illuminating the bottom, right?
No. You know enough that you're like, I'm gonna take some fall damage.
Yeah. Can I'm imagining Einar is just kind of like on his belly, kind of looking down into the hole, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And he will just kind of flip around carefully, take out a torch, flint and steel, try to light it up, hold it over the hole, not really see anything, and then just kind of drop it and watch as it falls.
You see it like light down the tunnel. You see lots of, like, debris, chunks of sharp stone, glass, and eventually it does land at the bottom, to which you do not see, like, any jagged spikes or anything, so at least that's cool. But it's gonna be a 50-foot drop. It's gonna be a little bit more than a light fall.
And the floor, is that full of rubble and stuff as well, or is it mostly...
Oh yeah. It's full of stuff, but there's nothing like that you're like, oh yeah, that sharp rock in particular is gonna fuck me up.
Yeah, okay.
Now, and just so we know, 30, like, humans can survive a 30-foot drop.
Survive.
They're gonna have a couple broken bones and shit, but like...
Yeah. It'd be a choice.
I mean,
no,
humans can survive falling out of a plane, but
which is
I don't recommend
crazy.
it.
Yeah. He will try to backtrack a little bit, and then presumably run out of rope. But he will try to kind of slide down to the door.
Okay, go ahead and make an acrobatics check.
Better at a 16.
You do, like, again, it's kind of thing where you're like, okay, falling damage down this watchtower or falling damage off this cliff, negligible on it. And you very carefully tried to slide, and you kind of do that thing, again, if you guys have ever, like, gone down, like, a super sharp cliff, where you're, like, kind of, like, scooching a little bit on your butt, and then, like, if you slide a little bit too fast, and you're like, and you catch yourself a little, you end up making it to the door without any grievous injury besides a few cuts and scrapes.
Cool. He will take like a full 2 minutes to just kind of catch his breath and calm his nerves. And then eventually just kind of sit more upright. He will look around. Any sense of footprints, any sign of travel at this kind of base place in front of this doorway?
No. As you slide down, you do notice that, like, a couple, like, rocks and stuff slide down, which to you seems a little bizarre. If someone had been, like, climbing up and down here, you would think that, like, a lot of the debris had already been unlodged.
Okay. He will reach out and try the door.
All right. It's locked.
Cool. He is not really trained, but he will kind of give a half-hearted.
You can certainly try. He's like, oh, fuck.
Take out a dagger, I guess. This is probably how it works, right?
Yeah, with like a long sigh, you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
Where's Nihlio when you need him?
Yeah, never where that you need him. Go ahead and roll a sleight of hand. Is that right?
I mean, probably thievery, which is worse for me.
Sorry.
There is no sleight of hand actually, but yeah, thievery is not my best skill. Yep, that's a 6.
You jangle the lock, and you try and, like, shove your dagger in it, and when you draw the dagger out, you notice that the tip is gone a little.
I don't think that is supposed to happen. Kind of put it away. Really kind of in a pickle here.
You can still go through the window. You just have to crawl back up to it.
Yeah. Do I get the sense that this door is still kind of firm, or is it kind of falling apart?
You get the sense if you try and bust the door open that that would be bad and possibly collapse the tower. Too much movement is bad. You are like, this is even stupid that I'm on here.
Any windows close to this door?
There is
doesn't matter if they're still intact or not.
Yeah, so there is one window that is lower than the other window I mentioned. It is only partially broken, and you would have to break the rest of it. But
I just want to look in a little bit.
oh yeah, that's fine.
Anything new from a closer distance that I didn't see before?
You crawl up to the window on your belly, and you put your face next to the glass, and you see that the piece of paper or the piece of cloth is still burning a little. And you, if you're not mistaken, there's a darker shadow on one wall that you can see.
Darker shadow?
Indicating that there is a tunnel or a passageway of some sort.
He's gonna go back up to the window.
Crawling on your belly.
Yep. Is that a check?
Yeah, go ahead and make an acrobatics make an acrobatics. See how nicely you do this, yeah.
Athletics. Okay. It's a 22.
Okay.
Let's go.
You are getting the hang of this, and you slide along on your belly, kind of like, okay, now we're cooking with gas here. And you still have your rope with you, and you're able to tie the rope to the sort of like, the window had like a inside pane, so it's like the 4-corner pane, right? It's pretty big, so you can still fit through one of them, and you're like, I just hope this wood is gonna hold. And you tie your rope onto that, and you're able to sort of like propel down into the Watchtower.
Okay.
You do not take any falling damage or anything like that, and before you stamp out the piece of cloth, you are the room is literally empty, and the only thing is a weird entrance to a tunnel. You feel a hot breeze coming from the tunnel.
I will pick up my torch. If it needs to be relit, I will relight it. If not, I will just kind of hold it up. Any noise, any light coming from the tunnel?
It is dark. It almost seems to swallow the light. And all you can see is that it's pretty bizarre, because if this tower has just like precariously fallen, you have no idea how this tunnel would be here like this. You are getting very suspicious of Laszlo the further you go down into this Watchtower. It is all dirt, so it does look like it was carved out, but it's not like how the castle is, where it's like stone, or seems to have any indication of that it's been put into any extra thought, except here's a tunnel.
How big are we talking?
It's pretty narrow.
Okay.
It is enough where you can walk upright, but it is uncomfortable. Like if you had a companion with you, it would have to be single file.
Or a pet.
Oh yeah. It would have to be single file, yeah.
Going to, as stealthily as I can with a lit torch, make my way down the tunnel.
Make your way down to the tunnel. And I finally get to whip out my other map.
Oh. Yeah. Where's she gonna post it?
Right? Well, it's just gonna pop up in Owlbear.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So, let me uncloud some of this for you. As you make your way down into the tunnel, you walk for a bit of time, and you eventually come to what you believe was essentially like a small cave-in, but you are able to sort of like take some time to push away the rubble and like push through. It's a little bit of effort, but not what you would imagine a true cave-in would be. You sort of feel like a lot of this is just like a deterrent, I should say.
Einar is determined.
Yeah.
He gets the sense that he is supposed to be here as divined, and needs to see what is in here.
As you make your way through the rubble, you enter into a sort of like a large area. This looks, again, slightly more man-made. It's a pretty big room. There's not a lot of stuff in it. Really, the only thing you see is kind of bizarre. Like, you see, like, sort of like an old cell, and you just see some, like, boxes and barrels that are hidden behind the cell. You notice that there's a big lock on the cell, and you also notice that there are 2 paths out of here.
In addition to the one I came in?
Correct, yeah. On Owlbear Radio, it'll be like, you are coming in through the little rubble area, and then the 2 paths are like up.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's like a doorway and another tunnel kind of thing?
Yes.
Any difference between the two? Any heat, smell, noise, light?
Yes. Go ahead and make a perception check.
23.
Okay. You put your ear up to the door, and it is warm to the touch. You feel a distinct draft from the right-hand side tunnel. It is noticeably cooler, and seems to almost like descend, like it has like kind of like descending steps.
I will try to open the doorway.
All right, make me that thievery check again.
It's locked.
Unfortunately for you.
Yeah, a broken dagger is probably better for picking locks, right? That's what Einar thinks. He's super good at this. That's a good roll. That's a total of 22.
Okay, hey! You are determined to unlock this door. And after some choice words, it does open, and it reveals a long hallway. You see a door on your right side farther up, and you also see a door at the end of the hallway. Let me unblock some more for you. Sec.
Is the heat kind of flowing in now that the door's
Oh
open?
yeah, it's fucking hot in here, dude. You were already sweating. You are sweating more now.
No kidding. Okay. There's a door on my right and a door ahead of me. Is that what you said?
So I actually misspoke. There is a door up on the right, and there is another door at the long hall. But when you step in, you see like there's like a little short hall, and that it sort of opens up into a sort of ornate room. It does have like a couple suits of armors, as well as a similar table than the one in the chapel, and you notice that, again, similar to the chapel, there is hundreds of candles in various degrees of burnt out state. And as you approach closer to the table, you also notice that there is a nearly identical bowl to the one that you saw in the chapel earlier, as well as signs of what you believe to be a large bonfire at some point.
Assumedly lit.
At some point it was lit, yeah.
Oh, but it's not right now.
It is not right now, even though the art makes it look like it is.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. I'm going to assume there's nothing in the bowl.
Take a peek. Nothing in the bowl.
Well, that would have been too easy. He will look around. Does he see any sort of iconography? Any sign of like the stained glass windows? Any runes on the walls? Any depictions of dragons or anything like that?
Yeah, you take some time, and you have your torch, and you end up lighting a few of the candles so you can kind of like read the walls a little bit better. And do you have something that'll let you like read runes, or you have like I thought you had something that was like a special recall knowledge or like special reading.
I have student of the canon. You've researched many faiths enough to recognize notions about them that are unlikely to be true. If you roll a critical failure at a religion check to decipher writing of a religious nature, or to recall knowledge, I get a failure instead. When attempting to recall knowledge about the tenets of your own faith, if you roll a failure, you get a success instead. If you roll a success, you get a critical success. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't crit.
I can't crit fail. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that is nice.
Roll it up.
Religion.
Yes. You are just you're basically you're surmising that it's religious just because you're like, it just looks a lot like the chapel, so you're like, well, let me check out these rooms real quick.
Sure. 27.
Okay. You begin to sort of like read the runes on the wall, and you realize that it is basically a retelling of history and religion. It's like if you read a different religious text than the one that you grew up on, and some of it is just straight blasphemy to you. Lots of talk about the flame god. There are a couple things that you pick out of this. One very important thing is you notice in the text that it does not seem to refer to Hibernia as a land. It sort of has a different way it speaks about it, almost as if it was living, which you find interesting. You also notice that it references the time of dragons, and that when the time of dragons comes about is when the flame god will reveal himself. And again, what Laszlo and the Queen were saying, which is like protects you from Ragnarok, and all of its followers will be saved in like during the time that the worlds are destroyed, and that the flame god will provide them with an oasis and a new world after Ragnarok. Very, very, very blasphemous. All this is bad news for you. You're just like, hate this entirely.
Further cements my idea of, no, my brother is not marrying into this.
You're just like, oh, hell no, reading it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Not a place, but like a state of being, like a mindset kind of thing. Is that the sense I'm getting?
So yeah, the way they refer to it, it almost sounds like it's a living thing, not a place or
like
a location.
Thing. Got it. Okay. Okay. Do they describe this thing at all? Either
the noun,
like physical descriptions or
yeah. The way it's sort of described, and again, this is all like sort of like in runes, so the word that it uses is the equivalent to like mother. And at first you're reading it and you're like, okay, yeah, like Mother Earth, and then you're like, I don't think it's like that. Like it makes a very distinction that in this religious text, that it believes that Hibernia is almost a thing or an entity upon itself, almost as if a god or the mother of the Einglar and Hibernia, and that it is innately attached. There's something special and magical about this land, and that you sort of also infer that this is possibly why it was so warred over, is that everyone who lives on here thinks that this land is very, very holy and sacred and special.
Okay. Okay. I will take note of all of that in my brain. And then go to the doorway. He doesn't see anything in the bonfire, correct? Kind of wood.
Yeah, you like go over, you sort of take like a good once over, and at first you don't see anything in the fire, and then you're sort of like digging around because you're just like, I don't know, I'm in here, like let me just figure out what's going on. And eventually you dig enough through the ashes that you do find what you believe to be like bone. And the only reason you would know that is because the Icy Crows were all about putting weird shit in their fires, and you have tons of experience with bones and burning weird shit.
Human?
Possibly. I mean, not out of the question.
Okay.
Definitely some not human.
Okay.
Definitely some, like, you don't find like a full skull, but you're like definitely some where you're like,
Good. Okay. Alright, I'm checking out that other door.
All right. Roll me a thievery.
This was locked 2? Oh my god. This dagger's putting in work.
You're like writing down. You're like, buy thieves' tools.
That's a 19.
Congratulations. This was a DC 18 lock.
Oh my god.
Again, you're like, son of a bitch, Nihlio, never here when I need him. And you open up the next door. And you find... which door did you do? The door on the right or the door on the left?
Is there a... Oh, gotcha. I see. Any difference between the doors?
No.
Was the warmth coming from this room, or do I get the sense that it's coming from...
It's still hot as fuck down here, yeah.
It's just kind of hot in general.
It's just hot in general.
Cool. I'm gonna roll a d6 then.
Okay.
One. I'm going straight ahead.
Okay. It's locked.
Well, I would assume that that's what the routine was, right?
Oh yes. Correct. You enter into a large chamber. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
Ugh, 14. It's a bad roll.
This is a bizarre room to be down here. It's huge. Like, really huge. It's cavernous almost. And it's like, I mean, if you didn't really know any better, you'd say this is like some kind of weird, like, battle training ground. You notice that there's like a couple random weapons like strewn about the floor. You notice that like some of the weight-bearing columns look a little worse for wear. There's like spell marks on the floor. It looks like some kind of like weird training room, but like you have no idea why something like that would be down here.
Or maybe he does.
Yeah, or maybe he does.
The weapons, do they look specifically placed, or they just kind of look like cast aside?
Just like, yeah, they're just like randomly around. You see a sword, you see an axe, you see like a crossbow, you see a staff, like you see random arrows.
Any burn marks?
Oh yeah.
Cool. The exits from this room?
There is only one. And it's on the far right. Looks like it's some descending stairs.
So straight ahead is a wall then?
Oh yeah.
Top a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. This stairway, how wide is it? How big is it?
This is a pretty beefy stairway.
Pretty heavy.
It matches the cavernous inside of this hall.
Any scratches in the steps?
Yeah, go ahead and make me a perception check for the stairs.
He has his hunches, and he is looking specifically for claw marks. Just so you know, that's a natural 18, that's 28.
Okay.
Rolling really well.
Every sign of a struggle, fire, claw marks, big scratches along the walls. And as you're sort of looking over the stairs, you hear something for the first time while you're down here. A little cry of a creature. A sad sound.
Very faint.
It's pretty faint.
He will take another minute to steel himself, and then
He's just like,
very
God damn
slowly
it.
keep going.
You make your way down the stair. Gets hotter with each step, and you are like, you've just been like sweating buckets this whole time. And as you come down the stairs, you enter a dark room, and you do see something moving about in the shadows. As you enter it, you hear claws on the ground and a of wings, and you hear sniffing and the sad sound once again. Before you see pretty big. It's definitely slightly bigger than a horse, but a bronze baby dragon. It does not. It's very young. You recognize this immediately. Like like a regular dragon is massive. So this is a small baby dragon. It is very thin. Like it looks emaciated. You notice it has a large collar on it, and it's only about a little bigger than a horse. And it sort of like, it realizes you're not a familiar person, but it doesn't make any aggressive movements towards you.
Kind of stand there in shock. He will look around. Anything else in this room?
You determine that this room was probably a tomb at some point. You kind of see, like, it's dark, it's pitch black in here, but with your torch, you sort of like hold it over your head. You see that there's like nooks where they have like the big coffin tombs, and then in the middle there is a large table where you see like a carved out tome would be as well. Tome is a book.
Mm-hmm. Any other exits?
No. The dragon sort of like hops onto the top of the table and just like flaps its wings a little. The room is big, so like it definitely can fully spread out its wings and everything, but you suspect, just based off of like you're a ranger, so even though you haven't necessarily seen a dragon, you understand animals. You would imagine that this dragon should be bigger. If it was in the wild, it would be hunting and sort of growing larger, and that because it's being kept in this captive space, this is why it sort of is unaggressive and emaciated a little bit.
It's taller. Is it attached to anything?
It's like a large like iron collar. It's not attached to anything, but it looks heavy. it loafs on the table.
He will consider his next actions.
All right. I think we're going to pause there. I'm going to end our stream.